on ESPN.
And away we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the big shows on the radio. This is the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate. Hello to you, and how do you do Upstate, South Carolina? And, of course, live around the rest of the world, courtesy of Odyssey.com, where we stream every show to you, no matter where you are. You got an internet connection, you got speakers. You can listen to us wherever you want. And at Odyssey.com, you can get the podcasted form of the show. So you can listen to us not only wherever you want, but whenever you want. We're just here to make your life that much better. I say we, because sitting directly across the proverbial and literal glass right in front of me is the great one, hashtag Dad Kicks Colonel Grudge, the alpha and the omega of ESPN Upstate, the conductor of the Symphony of Sound that is the Rob Brown Show, the pinnacle of professionalism. Ladies and gentlemen, the humble one, Lonzo, here along with us today. What up, Zo?
Do you realize how close we are to football, to actual counting football? It's almost here. It's almost here.
There is, for the record, 0 more Saturdays this year without college football, Lonzo. 0 more Saturdays this year without college football. It's here. It's not how close we are, Lonzo. We up in it, y'all. It's football season. Look outside the window right now and tell me it doesn't look football-y outside, Zo. It looks football-y outside. Just look at it.
It's pretty warm out.
It looks football-y.
But still, yeah. Football-y. All right, there.
It's football-y outside, man. What a day, kids. What a day. We got booked up for you today. A lot of stuff to get into on the radio broadcast. By the way, Lonzo, tonight, preseason NFL, your Clemson Jaguars taking on my New Orleans Saints down in the Big Easy at the Caesars Superdome.
When he says your, he doesn't mean me. So I don't want anyone to be confused and think that he means me.
Yeah, because Lonzo said Trevor Lawrence is going to fail in the NFL.
I did not
he said
say
he's
that.
Fail at the NFL, says he's got a bad throw motion. Can't throw the deep ball.
He does hear steps, and that's a problem.
Tell you what.
He is going to be playing against some really good defenses. We'll see how he does.
He's going to be playing against a better than average defensive front seven tonight.
But you know what? He has a built-in excuse.
And that is?
Urban Meyer.
Suck?
No, Urban Meyer, because you've got a college coach coming up to coach the NFL for the first time. So if Trevor Lawrence struggles, it won't be Trevor Lawrence's fault. It'll be Urban Meyer's fault.
Oh, you think there's a write-off already in place?
Yes, I do.
Gotcha. Lonzo thinks there's a write-off already. He's got the out. He's got the out before he even gets in. He's got the out, says the great one. He's going to get a test tonight. Front seven in the New Orleans Saints aren't bad. Not bad at all. So he's going to be tested tonight under under Urban Meyer's tutelage. I don't know why I did that. That was a bit of a slip.
Did you do that on purpose? Because I don't think you did.
I absolutely did not. Scout's honor, absolutely did not. Under Herb's tutelage. Which, by the way, do you believe in Urban Meyer? Honestly, do you believe in Urban Meyer? I don't. I never have.
You're asking me that question? Of course I believe in Urban Meyer. Won a national championship with the Ohio State Buckeyes. And then he also won at another school. Not quite sure what that school, some small school down south.
Was the old joke, a priest, a racist, and a murderer walk into a bar? The bartender says, "Ladies and gentlemen, the 2006 Florida Gators." It's one of my favorite jokes of all time. Never gets old. Or 08 Florida Gators, whatever. Those Gators. You get the joke. If you didn't get the joke, ask your friend to explain it to you. I don't know what to tell you. Let's, Lonzo, jump right in. What do you say? Texter says Rob can't go a whole show without bringing up Tebow. We didn't bring him up on Friday. And it was a Freudian slip that brought him up today. However, I would like to go on the record and say part of the reason is how easily triggered you Tebow stands get. You get so easily triggered by it.
So either you did it on purpose or you did.
No, I didn't. I swear to you, I didn't.
So if you just say part of the reason, that implies that you did it on purpose to trigger.
No,
so,
there are times where I wedge Tebow in a conversation because you guys get triggered.
So
but today I
today
slipped.
This time was absolutely a slip.
The lady friend does this thing where here's the thing you all care about. I'm a wee bit ticklish, Lonzo. All right. I'm a wee bit ticklish. And one of my things is if I get poked in the side when I'm not prepared for it, it makes me like jump. I don't like it. Right. And the lady friend loves nothing more than waiting till I'm at my most comfortable moment and then just going boop and poking me so that it ruins it. Like a big, deep yawn, big stretch coming out of bed in the morning, and she'll just you ever had like that big, deep stretch and then boop, and then it ruins it. Right. And I asked her one day, because we were at the awards ceremony a couple of weeks back when we were picking up our award for the best sports talk show in South Carolina, according to the South Carolina Broadcasters Association. You're welcome. And we're getting ready, and they're like 2 awards out in front of us. And Lonzo, my leg's shaking. I can't help it. I can't stop it. And in the moment where I just needed her to lean over and say comforting things into my ear, sweet nothings to let me know that the world was going to be okay, what did she do? She poked me in my side. And I said, what the hell? Why did you do that?
You don't recall the fact that I was sitting next to you and you nearly collided with me when said thing happened.
No, I leaned into you, bro. That was a celebration bump. It's like you.
No.
I asked her why she does that, and you know what her response is? Because you react to it. She goes, if you would stop jumping, I would stop doing it because it's not. That's basically the Tebow thing, right?
You have also just told thousands of people what
My
your
radio
weakness
strategy?
is. No, what your weakness is.
Listen, if any one of you, Lonzo, you included, walk up to me and poke me in the side, you gonna get hit. You ain't the lady friend. All right? She gets special privileges in a relationship
There
that
are
you
ways,
don't get.
there are ways to poke from a distance. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
I got lots of pointy objects in the office.
Okay,
that
I
could
just
get
want you to
you.
know, prank war, fine. You start doing that, Lonzo, you will open up a can you don't want.
I am not afraid, but I'm also not going to do it because,
Texter says maybe the Saints should look at Tebow so they can have a quarterback this season. Hey. Look at you, Texter. Look at you. Item number 1 of the Loans breakdown of 3 things you have to know before you go start talking sports with your friends, family, coworker, or the dog, whoever you spend your lunch break with. Would you look at that? Item number 1, Lonzo, is your team versus mine. Saints, Jags, tonight, down in the Big Easy, TL16, getting his first start against the Saints. Well, his second start as a Jag, first away from home, as they will be in New Orleans tonight. What do I expect to see tonight? I expect to see a more healthy dose of Trevor Lawrence. He played 2 drives in his opening matchup. I suspect he will get a little bit more than that, but the quarterback battle on the other side of the field will be a big play out as well. Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill. But I want to throw something into this discussion as well. I want you guys to look at the third guy on this rotation, Ian Book, rookie, Notre Dame. He is a Drew Brees parallel. Short, undersized, but tremendous accuracy and a very intelligent player. I do not think he will be able to take Winston or Hill in the starting position away from those two, but I'd be intrigued to see what Ian Book does. The Saints are -4 on the money line tonight, and a 39.5 is your over-under. I will say take the under. 39.5, a lot of points. You're looking at, I don't think both teams is getting to 3 touchdowns. I don't know if either does, but I take the under on that. The Saints are -4 on the spread as well. It has moved half a point towards Jacksonville this week, though the total has stayed consistent. Unders dominating the preseason. In 30 preseason games so far, the OU is set at 22-8 with the under so far. The big question with the offense on Jacksonville's side, and this is what we're looking for out of Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence last week, as we mentioned, played 2 drives, right? But one of the reasons that I think that the Jags pulled him out last game, was the fact that the communication between the sideline and the field was bad. You could see the frustration. The plays that Herb was calling were taking a long time to get to the quarterback, a long time for the quarterback to get called, a long time for the team to get set, almost to the point that there were certain spots where the quarterbacks didn't have time to call audibles and maneuver the players around the field, because by the time the plays got in from under the headset and into the helmet of QB1 at that point, you were deep into the play clock. Look for that to be something the Jags try to fix tonight against the Saints, whether it's Lawrence, whether it's Gardner Minshew, whoever is under center. The other thing I would like to see, keep an eye on the wide receiver core for the Jacksonville Jaguars, because there are 2 roster spots at wide receiver, and one of them is going to be won by somebody who is capable of filling in on special teams. One name I like tonight, former South Carolina Gamecock, Pharaoh Cooper, is on this Jags team alongside TL16 and Trevor Etienne. So is Colin Johnson, Laquan Treadwell, and Jalen Cam. But Pharaoh Cooper's a guy that can be a special teams ace, a guy that can get up and down the field on kick coverage, on punt returns if they need that spot. Keep an eye on Pharaoh Cooper if you're a Gamecock fan tonight, because he may be the South Carolina representative on this squad behind Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. That's what I'm looking for out of your Jaguars.
I have a question for you. Let's say we watch this game tonight and both your quarterbacks play and they both are mediocre. Who are you picking? Who's the starter?
James. I'm taking the guy with a ton of experience over the guy that has very little if they look the same, right? I'm taking the guy who's been in pressure situations.
Taysom Hill's got a bunch of experience. It's just not all in a row and in one game.
Don't love Taysom Hill's arm either. I don't think Taysom Hill's as confident in his arm as he needs to be. Jameis can still knock down the big ball. I don't know if Taysom can. He's had a couple of, in his gadget days, a couple of wide open guys down the field that he's hit. Jameis can hit the deep ball that's covered more consistently, I think. I tell you right now, if it's 50-50 guess, Jameis Winston is the starter. Now, knowing Sean Payton, I think there's some chance that he names Jameis Winston the starter. And then 3 plays in, you see Taysom Hill come into play, right? And I think you have that option on the table. If neither one of them breaks out as the clear-cut favorite, maybe Sean Payton has a 2-quarterback system, right? You bring Taysom in for gadget plays and runs. You bring Jameis in to kind of throw the rhythm around a little bit. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. And if there is a quarterback in the game, or excuse me, if there's a head coach in the game right now that you genuinely think could run a 2 QB system with 2 different styles of quarterback like Jameis and Taysom and Sean Payton, right? Like, is there anybody else in the game, Sean Payton aside, maybe Cliff Kingsbury, an offensive guy, maybe Hoodie because he can do whatever he wants. But I think that's a possibility. That being said, we know, Lonzo, that Jameis is getting the start tonight. Sean Payton announced 2 days ago, Jameis Winston is QB1 for tonight's game. Doesn't mean he'll be QB1 in 2 weeks for week 1. But he's QB1 for today.
How many hits will it take on Trevor Lawrence before you pull him? Or do because if he's dealing with the preseason, he's going to get rocked in the regular season. How many times do you leave him out there? If that New Orleans defense is back there and they're on a ton, do you leave him in the game and see how he works through it?
Nope. And I tell you this, if between the next 2 weeks, he keeps getting clobbered, right? Weeks 2 and 3 of the preseason, he's getting clobbered. Gardner Minshew's my starter week 1, Monza. I will throw Gardner to the Wolves to protect TL16. If the offensive line for the Jags is allowing Trevor to get busted up, I will put in Gardner Minshew and say I'm giving TL16 a week to roll.
Well, I heard on ESPN That Urban Meyer's upset because they're telling him you can't show everything in the preseason, and he keeps saying why. Why can't you show everything in the preseason? So don't be surprised. Come out and play. Use some plays that most teams would save to the regular season tonight, just to see what Trevor can do with it.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm intrigued. We'll talk about that more coming up later on. Item number 2 on the lunch breakdown, the NBA has released its full 2021-22 schedule. We're going to go over some of the big games later on. I'm not going to sit here and read you out all of them. We do know the Christmas Day slate that was revealed earlier in the week, but now we know the NBA season will begin October 19th. We know that all teams are scheduled for a full 82, the first full slate since the 18-19 season due to the pandemic. The final day of the regular season will be April 10th of next year. All 30 teams will play on April 10th, which will be really interesting. All 30 teams, so 15 games on April 10th, and you'll have a lot of playoff seeding that comes down to literally games that are happening simultaneously across that day. 7 Saturday night ABC games throughout the season. Golden State travels to Philly to take on Joel Embiid and the Sixers on December 11th to get that slate started off. Durant and the Nets will go back to Golden State to face the Warriors for the first time with fans in attendance on January 29th. The Knicks and the Lakers on February 5th. Lakers-Warriors February 12th. The Nets reprise their opening night matchup with the defending champion Milwaukee Bucks on February 26th. The Warriors go to LA to play the Lakers March 5th, and the Bucks play Golden State on March 12th. We've got a 9 Sunday NBA Showcase on ABC. Trae Young and the Hawks play in Boston on February 13th. The Sixers and the Knicks do it in New York. The Jazz go to Phoenix to face the defending Western Conference champions on February 27th. That's a Sunday as well. 1 week later on March 6th, the Suns go to Milwaukee for an NBA Finals rematch against the Bucks, along with the Nets going to Boston to play the Celtics. Also, a pair of games on February 27th and March 6th, as ESPN and ABC will have multiple days with quadruple headers, 4 NBA games between those two channels. The Mavs and Warriors and the Pelicans and Lakers will play on February 27th. The Knicks and Clippers and Pelicans and Nuggets will play on March 6th. So Zion getting himself some PT on the big schedule as well. Item number 3 on the lunch breakdown. Look, debate, sure, why not? But it doesn't matter. Oregon and Oregon State have become the first Power 5 schools to announce that they will require proof of COVID vaccination or a negative COVID-19 test within the 3 days of the college football game in order to attend the game for anyone over the age of 12. Announced Friday afternoon, Oregon said the decision was made with public health authorities and, quote, peer institutions in the state, end quote. The negative test must be from within 3 days of the event. The mandate goes into effect Monday, today, and comes at the end of a week when state officials warned of rapidly filling hospitals as daily reported cases reached record numbers. Oregon, one of several Pac-12 schools requiring students and employees to be vaccinated or apply for, but not be guaranteed, an exemption. The Oregon football team opens their season at 54,000-seat Autzen Stadium in Eugene on September 4th. Oregon State gets its home slate at Reser Stadium on September 11th against Hawaii. Hawaii became the first major college football school to say it would have no fans in attendance for its opening sports events of the season because of a recent COVID-19 surge in that state. Hawaii's first home football game, September 5th, against Portland State. That move comes about a week after Tulane down in New Orleans became the first school that plays football at the NCAA's highest subdivision to require proof of vaccine or a negative test to attend any sporting event. Tulane's decision followed a mandate set by city officials that also impacts the Saints, but school officials said they were moving toward instituting the policy on their own. So we now know that Hawaii, Oregon, Oregon State, Tulane, and a couple of other schools, plus a couple of NFL teams, including the Saints, will require you to show proof of vaccination or have a negative test within 3 days of the event you wish to attend in order to be allowed admittance. And trust me, those teams will not be the last to do so. Now that that levy has been broken, I will bet you we will hear more of those announcements coming up in the next few days. We'll talk about that later on in the show. When we come back here in just a moment from right now, I've got a handful of stories that I want to run through, but you know, I don't give him credit for much because I don't want to. Mark Ryan has been on about Justin Fields since the draft. I know a press conference doesn't tell you a kid will or won't be successful on the field, but I stopped Lonzo earlier in the day to tell him I like this kid, and I think he's going places. I'll share why when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. Still understand why either one of those people gets a microphone.
You know, wouldn't you say something like that about your brother, though?
Yes.
You go get your brother cold knocked out by Myles Garrett, but still, my brother would knock him out. It's the equivalent of when we would go bowling on Saturday nights. One of my buddies would pick one of the biggest guys in the bowling alley, nudge him and say, "You see him? He says he could kick your butt." Always pointing at me.
Of course. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It is ESPN Upstate, and it is award-winning, ladies and gentlemen. So thanks to you, our award-winning listeners. You know how every wrestling champion, when they win, they hold up the belt and they point to it, and then they point out to the crowd. They're like, "This one's for you, for you." That's us. That's us. This one for you.
That looked painful and scary, intimidating. Way to go, man.
Keep it on the real. Play a couple of clips for you. I don't give him a lot of credit because I don't want to. But Mark Ryan has been very consistent about one hot NFL take, and it is that the Carolina Panthers and a lot of other football teams are going to regret passing on Justin Fields. Thinks the kid's going to be a star, thinks that the Panthers made a massive mistake and deciding to go with Sam Darnold. Now, I will tell you, hindsight being what it is at 2020, I will own my take, which was Sam Darnold was the right call. I thought at the time that Sam Darnold was going to follow a Ryan Tannehill trajectory, get out from under Adam Gase, get to a new program, new scenery, new weapons, to the moon. That's what I thought was going to happen. And it still might, for the record. I'd like to go on the record and say we don't know that won't happen. We haven't even seen Sam Darnold play an NFL football game with the Carolina Panthers yet, outside of preseason. He might very well go to the moon. We don't know yet. What I do know is that I really like this Justin Fields kid. I really do. Number one, Lonzo, he's getting it done on the field, right? He's getting it done on the field. He's making the plays with his arm and his leg. He's not a run-first guy, but when it's time to run, Justin Fields extends plays. He's making the right reads. He's making the right throws. I like this kid as a quarterback. And
there's genuine excitement on the team from the other players and people who are observing what he's doing in practice and in preseason.
And you're
not hearing that about Andy Dalton, though.
You're not. Now, here's why this is what clicked me into listening to the rest of the press conference. 2E, if you don't mind. So I heard this clip early this morning and immediately was like, I got to hear the rest of that press conference. I got to hear the rest of what Justin Fields had to say. A reporter asked Justin Fields about his Chicago preseason debut when the fans were on the sidelines chanting, Justin, Justin, we want Fields. We want Fields, while Andy Dalton was out there as the starter. Listen to how Justin Fields responded to that and tell me this kid doesn't sound like a damn professional.
The last 2 weeks, how have you developed your pregame routine? Is it different than what it was at Ohio State? And do you lean on Andy and Nick and see kind of how they go about their business and a couple of
I feel like it's pretty similar to the routine I had at Ohio State. Of course, I don't really try to, I guess, model my routine after Nick and Andy's routine. I might, pick something from theirs and, add it into mine. But again, I'm just learning from those guys, from, the playbook to their routine to taking care of my body. I think Nick's really good at that. He's really smart about what he does with his body and, how he takes care of his body. So having him here really helps me out a lot.
As the first team offense continues to struggle and you continue to play well, the calls for you to be on the field are going to get louder and louder. Do you feel a sense of responsibility to kind of calm some of that noise in this ever-growing quarterback controversy?
I feel a sense to be there for my teammates when they need me. So as long as Andy's in the game, I'm going to be rooting for Andy and, hoping that, we put up 100 points a game. But, when I do go in the game, I'm going to try to do the same thing. And, I think what the fans have to realize is we're on the same team, So we're all trying to win games. And that's really our main focus. We're not worried about who has touchdowns, who's doing this and that. We're just out here trying to win.
When you're standing on the sideline, you hear fans chant, we want Justin Fields, or, you got a standing ovation the time you come to the game. Is that something you kind of got used to? Do you notice that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I noticed it. Of course, you know, the fans are awesome, getting me out there, but they also have to realize, you know, Andy's a human being too. Andy's out there on the field right now. So I really just think it's kind of disrespectful to Andy, you know, them cheering my name out like that. And, you know, they have to, you know, trust in coach to, you know, make sure he's making the right decisions and, you know, just cheer Andy on. Like that's not helping Andy play better than cheering my name. That's not doing none of that. So, you know, I would say, you know, my advice to them would be just cheer for who's out there playing on the field.
Lonzo, a press conference is not worth any points in an NFL game. But if it was, my man just threw 3 touchdowns with that answer.
That's not what football fans want to hear. They want. Anyway,
Brother.
It's refreshing to hear someone say something like this, and it's a shame we don't hear it more, because for the most part, it's a guy pretty much saying, you know, if my name is Cole, I should be out there, that type of thing. And he's not doing that. And he's right. You know, you cheer for the team to do well, no matter, even if it's your brother on the team and your brother's not playing, but the team is doing well, you should be rooting for the team.
Give me clip 2A if you don't mind. Justin Fields made a comment about a week ago. He said that after the first preseason game, the game felt slow to him. And he got roasted for it, remember? Cocky. Young man's got great shot, kid. Don't get cocky. Right? And a lot of folks started blowing him up. Oh, Justin Fields thinks he's better than the league. Justin Fields got called on that in this press conference. And that is a perfect opportunity for a lot of quarterbacks to find out, Lonzo, that they can fit not just one, but both of their feet in their mouth, especially in a big city like Chicago. Especially in a big city like Chicago that has been struggling to find a franchise QB. He got a chance to readdress that comment. Listen to how he did.
A lot of conversation about the comments you made about the game being slow. It's your second preseason game.
Yeah, and let me tighten that up because that came out totally wrong. Y'all just well, not y'all, but apparently the narrative was that I'm just that good that the game was too slow. But what I meant to say was I go up against our first team defense a lot throughout the week. So me going against them and, you know, playing these preseason games when starters aren't in, that's going to slow the game down for me. So, again, I just wanted to clear that up because I don't want to come off as cocky or acting like I already made it because I know I have a lot of work to do and get better at. But, I mean, yeah, the game's not, you know, fast out there. I mean, of course it's going to be football, but I go up against one of the best defenses, you know, in the NFL, you know, weekly. So that's definitely going to help me when I'm going against, you know, the 2s and 3s out there for different teams.
Dude, I love this cat. Right? Like what he gave, and that's what I believed he meant when he made those comments. But you know how they try to create storylines, especially again, Lonzo, in big cities where they're thirsty for a QB1, right? New York, they do this. LA, they do this. Chicago, they do this. Dallas, they do this. If they're looking for something, then they do their best to go in and create drama, create a narrative, create a story. And when Justin Fields said the game felt slow to me, immediately they were like, oh, Justin Fields thinks he's better than the rest of the NFL quarterbacks. Justin Fields thinks he's already on the next level. Justin Fields feels like he's better than every. And I'm like, no, dude. He said he went out there and he was playing the 2s and 3s, and the game felt like it was a slower speed than he thought it was going to be. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Y'all trying to drive something up, just like they've tried to drive something up with Andy Dalton. And what did Justin Fields say? Andy's the starter. And if Andy's playing, I will be Andy's teammate, and I will cheer for Andy, and I will, I want to score 100 points a game, whether it's me or Andy. I love this cat. Now, again, so one thing that I've been reminded when I talked about it, and the one thing I'll remind everybody else at the same time, Lonzo, you don't get points based on a press conference. Yeah. Nobody's going to walk out there and put 14 on the board in week 1 for the Bears because Justin Fields had some great answers behind the microphone. But that's the type of cat that gets folks to follow him. That's the type of stuff that get guys to buy in. QB's level-headed. He's reasonable. He's thoughtful. I trust that guy to run the offense. I like it.
But there are people out Andy Dalton to do horrible so Justin Fields can be on the field. And I get that from a fan standpoint. But if Andy Dalton goes out there and he's efficient and he wins games, there still will be people saying, yeah, but if Justin Fields was in there, we'd be winning by a bigger amount because that's who they want in there. So we'll see how this pans out. I do think Justin Fields will be a starter at some point. Who knows? Maybe even the first game. But for now, it's Andy Dalton.
I will tell you, I think that when I look at this QB contest, I am like, I pull for both guys. I really do. I like Andy Dalton. I like the Red Rocky. I think the dude has, I think Andy Dalton's probably one of the most underappreciated quarterbacks in the league. The dude has been a decent starter and he's been a reliable backup everywhere he's been. I like Andy Dalton. I'm pulling for Andy Dalton. But listen to this cat talk. I had to tell you, I'm afraid to some degree, Mark Ryan may have a point. Mark Ryan may have been right. The Panthers and a lot of other teams may very well be in the future regretting not having taken this kid.
I wish you would quit giving Mark Ryan credit because, I was talking about Justin Fields long before Mark Ryan was, and Justin Fields was my quarterback.
Man. My quarterback, man.
Quarterback, man.
You're a Justin Fields hipster. Is that what you're trying to tell me? You're a Justin
Don't
Fields
just say
hipster.
just quit giving him credit.
I was pulling for Justin Fields before pulling for Justin Fields was cool.
I got the gear, He's got that Florida stuff. It's an Ohio State quarterback. You should have listened to me. Who cares about what Mark Ryan said?
I ain't mad at you. All right. Let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute from right now, another event that happened. Sha'Carri Richardson. You remember that name? Going to the Olympics. Sha'Carri Richardson was a young woman who was expected to go represent the red, white, and blue, but got busted for the marijuana and was removed from the Olympic team. Well, she ran her first competitive race this weekend, but it wasn't the race that got her noticed. It was her reaction afterwards. I got the sound for you when we come back on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
Did she immediately go look for Doritos or something? Is that what? I'm just curious. I don't know.
Lonzo's got jokes.
Did she get done and go, bro?
Courtney got her first RK Bro experience last night or Saturday night when we were watching it. She's watching. She's like, so the guy with the hair, what's his thing? And I was like, he's high all the time. She's like, right, but like, what's the character? And I'm like, the character is he's high all the time.
He's classic stoner. Spicoli from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. There's so many other movies that he's that guy.
So like every time he did or say anything, I just go, bro. And she's like, why do you keep saying that? It's RK Bro. Got to the end and she's like, I've known people like that. I'm like, I know, that's why the character's so great. It's so great. So I've come across a website that allows us to make baseball or football or basketball jerseys customized with the name, whatever we want across the front and back. So we can put the Rob Brown Show, put our names and numbers across the back. And I think that's the look we're going with.
That will show up.
That will show up. That will show up.
And yes, as someone who's willing to wear the New Day tie-dye on occasion, I have no problem with wearing that jersey.
That's the right fit, right? If we can customize jerseys, that's the right fit. The late 80s, early 90s.
Do we want
abstract paint?
Does it have to be those colors though?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, if we can go red, black, and gray, we're going red, black, and gray.
I'm going to say station colors if possible. Just
I'm going to look into it afterwards. I've asked the person in charge of that decision-making process if we could,
The power.
the powers that be, if we could have the station pick up the tab for a couple of customized jerseys. And he told me to mock them up and send him what it would cost, and he will look into it.
In other words, we're coming out of pocket, but I'm good with that.
Listen to the optimism.
I mentioned I've been here over 21 years.
And still don't have a jersey.
No, I meant I understand the workings of things.
Yeah.
Although, best in the state backing behind it, I mean, maybe that adds a little credence to it. But then you run into that problem, when you and I are rocking that cool gear, then other people are going to want some of that cool gear. They want a taste of that, and I don't blame them. Yes, 2.0, Everrise, whatever you want to call them. You want a taste? It's just stuck in my head.
I'm not mad about it.
They were on Jericho's podcast, and Jericho didn't know that they had been signed.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Which he points out. He always does an intro
Did they
before he
reveal it
plays
to him?
No.
No, they
He
just
didn't-
rolled the whole interview without
He
bringing
didn't
it
know
up.
the entire time. You could tell they knew, but he
Right.
didn't know.
So did they play it as in, like, they played it as
Great opportunities coming up, things like that, but never that.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate. I am Rob. Bo just texted in and said, Rob just called Andy Dalton the Red Rocket instead of the Red Rifle. Andy is my dog.
Yeah, I didn't want to correct you. You've done that a few times.
That's what I call him.
And I know he's the Red Rifle. But, there may have been another nickname. So I just, I want to correct the host.
Here's why I do that, okay? Because at one point, Jim Nantz did that on national television. And for about 6 days on Twitter, it was like the best joke that's ever happened. There is, as fans of the show, South Park will tell you, Red Rocket is frequently used to describe other things. And at one point, Jim Nantz accidentally called him that and Tony Romo, who was on the call with him, lost his mind about it. And then I've just rolled with it since.
See, when I hear Red Rocket, I think I want to say Mass Effect, and I'm saying the wrong game. Oh my gosh, man, I'm so old. I'll come up.
Hang in there.
I'll come up with this a second. It's Bethesda. It's post-apocalyptic. There's been 1, 2, 3. Vegas.
Fallout?
Fallout. I think
That forgot was Fallout. The game you have put more hours in this year than anything else. That's the one you blew it.
I actually played a little bit of it last night too.
Oh my.
Yeah, I just.
All right. So that's why I call him that. All right, Bo. I love it. Listen.
You-
You're drooling on himself and hitting buttons. That's all he's got left.
That's what I used to do when I ran morning shows, but
Yeah, but that's because it's morning. All right, let's go to clip number 4, if you don't mind, Zoe. Sha'Carri Richardson. Now, remember the story of Sha'Carri Richardson going into the Olympics. Sha'Carri Richardson is a 21-year-old Olympic sprinter who was expected to go to Tokyo and represent the United States in the Olympic Games and was expected to be a favorite. And right before the Olympics, she got busted for using the marijuana. She said she took an edible in order to calm her nerves after she found out from a perfect stranger that her mother, her biological mother, she's adopted, but her biological mother had passed away. Said that it sent her effectively into a panic attack and that she used the marijuana in order to calm her nerves, in order to settle down before the Olympics. However, it's not allowed, and she didn't get to go. All right, so Sha'Carri Richardson got the opportunity to race once again this weekend and race against some of the fastest women in the world, including Mick Richardson, Elaine Thompson-Herah, and others. Elaine Thompson-Herah, who was the fastest, and a couple of others. Well, it didn't go well, okay? It didn't go well at all. They introduced Sha'Carri Richardson. They gave her this big thing. So what you're going to hear is the introduction of Sha'Carri Richardson, the race itself, and her reaction immediately following the race on the track interview.
I've been waiting.
Oh, wait, you can let it roll. This is a Nike commercial that was made for Sha'Carri before this race happened.
Waiting to show y'all that I'm no one-hit wonder. Waiting to show y'all it's not what I've done, but what I'm about to do. Waiting to show y'all that I'm more than a news headline. Waiting to show y'all why I'm that girl. And if you need me, I'll be at the finish line. Waiting.
Sha'Carri Richardson, 21 years old, the new kid on the block, all hair and flair. Wasn't in Tokyo. A 1-month suspension for a recreational drug, keeping her out of the games, but she's been very active, both on the track and on social media. She has a point to prove here in 5, women's 100 meters. Away first time, this time, and Thompson-Herah into her running, 4th from left. Thompson-Herah also going very well. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, Richardson's nowhere. What a performance there. It's the fastest in the world this year. 10:54, the winning time. Thompson-Herah continues her form from Tokyo. What a statement. Understated celebration. Goodness me. It's the 2nd fastest time in history. Only Flojo has gone quicker, and she's beaten her own time from Tokyo, 10:61, and now she's just seeing it. A scarcely believable 10:54, and I'm afraid Sha'Carri Richardson left in the blocks.
I'm not done. You know what I'm capable of. Count me out if you want to. Talk all the you want, because I'm here to stay. I'm not done. I'm the 6th fastest woman in this game ever. And can't nobody ever take that from me.
The sheer confidence in the line of I'm the 6th fastest woman in this game. The absolute confidence of I'm the 6th best to ever do it. Monta, who is the 6th highest scorer in NBA history?
I don't know.
Yeah. Who's the quarterback with the 6th most yards in NFL history?
Not quite sure.
Yeah. Who's 6th on the home run list all time?
No clue.
Right. Just the sheer confidence, right? Now let me be abundantly clear. I had Sha'Carri Richardson's back going into the Olympics. I think being DQ'd by marijuana is silly, to tell you the truth. As was pointed out, hey, them's the rules. Follow them, right? But I think the rules are dumb. I think we should change the rules, but that is correct. Them's the rules. Follow them until they're changed. I got to tell you, getting into it, a young woman who claims that, quote, my presence in this track game making history, no need for a thank you, fire emoji, that she took place after Fraser-Pryce won a personal best of 10:63 in June. She claimed that she, existing, is pushing other women to set world records. Well, I had to tell you, the record that was run to knock off the Tokyo record by Elaine Thompson-Herah just a couple of weeks ago, who just beat that record. Sha'Carri, I got your back, homie. But you came in 9th. You came in 9th place. Maybe not the time. Oh, and by the way, all those Olympic runners had been training their body to be in peak physical presence 3 weeks ago for the Olympics. All you had was this race. This was it for you. This was your race for the year. This was the one. Your last chance to try to break into that Jamaican 1-2-3 sweep in the fastest woman alive race. And you got dusted. Dusted. I got your back. But the sheer cockiness of the woman who came in 9th and is proud of the 6th fastest time of all time. Not the time and place, Shikari. Not the time and place. Wrap up hour 1 when we come back on the Rob Brown Show. Rob Alonso, you, it's ESPN Upstate.
Golf cart.
$2021 golf card is up for grabs. Now go to upstategolfcard.com to get yours. Diesel and I played around a golf Saturday morning. How about that? I got the D train out in public. Me and Diesel went and played around with one of our great listeners, Willie. Will came out and played with us. Had a tremendous time. We played Pebble Creek. Played Pebble Creek on Saturday morning. Beautiful course. Had a great time. Lots of up and down to that back 9 Creekside. Lots of up and down to that back 9. And we had a tremendous time getting out there and playing. And you will too. And if you grab one, you're playing 9 rounds of golf at 9 beautiful courses, including Pebble Creek, including the Preserve at Verde, which I played a couple of weeks ago, Links of Triumph, which I played 2 weeks ago. You're going to get all those and 6 more. And you're getting them for $99. That is less than $15 a round, less than $1 a hole. You can't do better than that, ladies and gentlemen. You just can't. Go to upstategolfcard.com to learn more. Upstategolfcard.com now to get yours and start playing golf. It is the 2021 Upstate Golf Card. Was that a Batista sighting at the end of that promo? Did you see it?
No, I was
doing work.
We were late. And
Oh, yeah.
I was having to remove something to make sure that we can come back from. Really threw me is kind of figured out what you were talking about life. Tony Romo was laughing in the middle of me talking, and it made me completely forget what I was trying to say.
People are flipping out over the new Samsung phone. And the Galaxy Z Fold 3 5G unfolds into a tablet, and the Galaxy Z Flip 3 5G fits in the palm of your hand. Show off with 2 screens and
Okay. Scientists say sea snakes aren't attacking humans; they're just horny. The new paper, scientists say attacks from male sea snakes aren't really attacks at all. They're just confused, horny snakes trying to mate.
Okay.
There's a picture of sea snakes. That is freaky. I just sent it to you because, as someone from Florida, maybe you've seen sea snakes before.
I don't think I have, honestly.
Send it on Twitter. I'm just thinking if I was, snorkeling or something and I saw that, I would probably never get back in the water again.
What a great headline from the Nerdist.
But look at those. They don't look like the head doesn't really look like a snake.
It's an eel.
That's what I'm thinking. But it's freaky, yo.
And away we go. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. We are wrapping up hour number 1. To kick off hour number 2, coming up at 1 o'clock, we're going to be joined by Corey Diaz. He is the Greenville News beat reporter, for your Gamecocks of South Carolina. Over there in Columbia, he is going to be joining us coming up in the next segment. Looking forward to talking with Corey. Then, coming up in that hour, some comments from one Paul Feinbaum that I found bad. They're bad comments. Tell you what those are next on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. I wonder, all right, we got to get somebody to come in and fix the mics on stream.
They'll say it's me, but I mean, we can try.
We'll
They'll say I'm too close to the mic.
No, can't be it because we weren't having that problem before this started. before they changed whatever they changed. And away we go. Our numero dos of the Rob Brown Show is right here on ESPN Upstate. I am Rob Brown, the great one Lonzo, sitting directly across me. Sorry, I needed a second to remember what my name was.
It's my fault. It's catching. I apologize.
This looks like somebody's got a case of the Mondays. That's all it is. We're getting back into the swing of thing, y'all. The awards fog remains.
I will remind you who you are. You remind me who I am. And
the great one.
And we collectively are the number one sports show in the state of South Carolina.
According to the South Carolina Broadcasters Association. And when you are the best sports talk show in South Carolina, as named by the South Carolina Broadcasters Association, you get only the biggest guests to join. Only the brightest guests, only the best football minds in the country, like Corey Diaz, Greenville News, Gamecock beat reporter. He is over there in Columbia, embedded with the Gamecocks. We introduced him to you last week. Now he begins his first of a season's worth of Monday guest interviews where he comes on to talk a little Gamecock football with us. Corey, brother, what's happening, my man?
Man, with that introduction, I thought I was getting a last-second bump. I didn't think you were talking about me, but I greatly appreciate it, man. How's it going?
It's fantastic, buddy. There are 0 Saturdays remaining in 2021 where there's not a college football game. We have one more week of NFL preseason, and then we get the real deal going on. It's a really good day to be a football fan, Corey. Like Monday, for whatever reason, when I sat down at the desk this morning and I popped open Twitter, and the first tweet was, every Saturday from now until next February has a college football game. It was just a wave of euphoria. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I mean, this time of year, man, it's a different feeling, for us in the, and probably you can attest to this too, Rob, but, for us on the, on the print side of things, it's usually when SEC Media Days gets here. For us, that's usually the official kickoff to the college football season. Because for us, I mean, usually from then on, whether it's all through the week and even including most weekends leading up to the first game of the year, I mean, we're consistently working in some capacity, bringing our respective readers, the stuff that they need in order to get ready for kickoff. So, I mean, I feel like I've been already on the grind, man, for over a month now. So now I'm just ready to actually get to game day, man, and get these games kicked off and start that process.
Corey Diaz is the beat reporter for the South Carolina Gamecocks. For the Greenville News, going to join us every Monday at 1:00 to talk South Carolina football. Now, I know we got into it a little bit on Friday when we introduced you to the Rob Brown Show audience, Corey, but, obviously weekends are big during fall camp, especially with just a couple of weeks to go before the Gamecocks open with Eastern Illinois. So before we get into player specifics and scheme specifics, can you give us just what the latest couple of stories for you out of Columbia have been?
Sure. Yeah. I had something, go up earlier this morning, just kind of, analyzing the quarterback situation that Shane and his staff, they have going on right now. From what we know at this point, Luke is scheduled later on this week to get the cast off his foot, and then he'll vigorously hit the rehab process on that. So, with that basically giving him just a few days, before the first game, I kind of looked at, if he's unable to be medically cleared before the 4th, which one of the 3 that are in contention right now for that job would ultimately get it. So I kind of broke that down, analyzed each guy and why they should, get the start there in that opener. And 2, I'll dive a little deeper a little later this week into Zeb and kind of how a graduate assistant goes from basically being a on the sideline coach to a football player in a matter of weeks. It's a very unique thing. It doesn't happen very often. I mean, I'm still looking, honestly, man. I haven't really found a case in which this has happened before. So this potentially could be the first time this has ever happened. And for him to realistically be in the quarterback race and potentially start a game here in less than 2 weeks, man, just if you're tuning into that game on TV, just be prepared to be peppered with that storyline for, before kickoff until the clock's at 0 after the fourth quarter. And so also too, man, we've been getting a lot of intel, these first couple weeks of camp and entering this third week here, just about some names that maybe people don't really know about yet. But they need to be on the lookout for them, guys that potentially have breakout seasons, for the Gamecocks this year. So, I'm analyzing that as well this week. And, we're getting into it now, man. This is kind of when you really get into your swing and you want to really produce that really engaging content for your reader and audience. So, we're getting ready to get into that.
We are talking with Corey Diaz. He is the Gamecocks beat reporter for the Greenville News. Joins us every Monday at 1 o'clock to talk a little South Carolina football. Real quick, let's talk about Zeb Noland and the quarterback room. We know we're waiting to find out just how deep into the season Luke Doty will go before he would be available, if he even maintains his start. Is there any chance that Luke Doty could lose his starting position due to injury? Is there any chance that one of the backup quarterbacks, Jason Brown, Connor Jordan, might step up and become the permanent starting QB before Doty's able to get healthy and get back?
Rob, the short answer to that question is yes. And that's not a I know that kind of sounded in jest, and that's not a knock on Luke Doty and the type of quarterback that he is and what he brings to South Carolina's offense. Because I do think, when you take into account, Marcus and Shane both, Marcus Satterfield, the offense coordinator, and Beamer both, they've been very complimentary of Luke's ability to throw the ball. I think Marcus, at our media golf tournament a few weeks ago, he quote unquote called it a beautiful throwing motion. He's got a really good arm. When you mix in the added element that he brings with his legs, he's very much a mobile quarterback. He's a dual threat guy, and you can't really substitute that kind of ability. But look, I from everything that I've heard out of the second scrimmage on Saturday, I don't anticipate saying for 100% sure that Colton Gauthier is out of this race to start game one, because I do think they still want to push these guys during the next week and a half, to get someone 100% ready to go and be that guy. But I do think the focus has kind of shifted between Jason Brown and Zeb Noland. And look, I mean, if one of these guys ends up earning that job, goes out there and does everything correct, takes care of the football, manages the play clock, the huddle, knowing where everyone is supposed to be lined up when the play is called. If everything works as efficiently as it possibly could, and the guy also goes out there and he performs well, and we also have to take into account too, right, that they're playing Eastern Illinois to start the year. It's an FCS program. I think the general consensus would be, look, you need to win that game by 3 or 4 touchdowns at least. But if you go out there and you kind of light the world on fire, I do think that makes Luke's ability to regain his starting job a little bit harder. Luke's going to have to, really attack this rehab process for himself, getting back from that sprained foot. And again, when you talk about him and his running ability, I mean, he kind of needs his left foot, to be able to run and to be effective with that. So they're not going to rush Luke back, especially when you got Eastern Illinois week 1, then you go on the road and you got East Carolina at their place week 2. There's really no immediate rush to get Luke back. But if you're Luke and you're standing on the sideline and you see Jason Brown or Zeb Noland come in the game and they're throwing 50-yard touchdown bombs and looking great out there, you're probably getting a little nervous at that point.
Corey Diaz is the Gamecock beat reporter for the Greenville News. He's based over in Columbia, so he is with the team. And by the way, you can follow him on Twitter at Corey Diaz, CORYDIAZ _TGN. Tremendous follow for the Gamecock faithful out there in Radio Land. Court, last week, we kind of took, and I think every radio station in the state of South Carolina has done what will it take for you to call Shane Beamer's first season successful? And the answer that seems to be the most popular one, Corey, is bowl eligible. Get 6 wins. If you get 6 wins in your first year, it's a successful year for Shane Beamer. And I accept that answer. I'm fine with that answer. But Lonzo and I last week went and we looked at the Gamecock schedule start to finish. And I got to tell you, I almost kind of want to set 6 wins as my baseline expectation. Like, I'm fine to call it successful, but I want to set it as a baseline, mainly because there's not a game that I don't think the Gamecocks would be favorite in until week 7 when they got to go down to College Station and take on A&M. What are your thoughts on both of those aspects? Number one, 6 wins would be a successful season, number 1 for Shane Beamer. And number 2, I think that's a baseline expectation.
Rob, my assessment is 6 wins and bowl eligibility it wouldn't just be a success. It would be a coaching job that I think would probably merit Shane Beamer being the SEC Coach of the Year. I think this team getting the 6 wins would be a huge home run, especially when you talk about first year staff coming in. You got to get everyone to buy in. You're changing the culture, which I think we've seen a lot of that already. But man, my personal assessment, man, I think if this team wins 4 games this year, I would say that's a win. That would be a successful year. Because, you have to really kind of break this down. I do think they start the year 2-0. People are overlooking this East Carolina team, but this is a team that averaged 30 points a game last year, and they basically get their entire offense back. That's going to be a tough road test early in the year, especially, you hear the term all the time in college sports, right? It's like, oh, that might be a trap game. Well, that East Carolina game could be a trap game because the following week you've got to go to Athens and you got to play at Georgia. A lot of people's attention is already going to be, a lot of people's attention now before we even started the year is looking at the Georgia game. So you have to be careful week 2 there, and then, after Georgia, you got Kentucky coming to town. That's not a for sure win in my eyes. Kentucky's a pretty solid team. That they've kind of almost firmly planted themselves as that 3rd, 4th best team in the East. Missouri's going to be another team that I think's got a lot of talent. And South Carolina's going to go on the road and play them later in the year. You've got another group of 5 game on the schedule in Troy. I think that's a win. That's at home. The road game at Tennessee is almost going to be another one of those, benchmark games as well. How is Tennessee performing under Josh Heupel in his first year? You got to play at their place. If there's kind of some bragging rights on the line in that game, obviously Neyland Stadium is going to be crazy. Then Vandy comes to town. That should be a win. A&M playing at their place. Wow. That just probably one of the toughest environments to play in all of college football. Florida's coming to town. The Auburn game in November, as I see it right now, is probably a win for South Carolina.
Really?
I do. I think, I think this Auburn team, again, another first-year head coach in Brian Harsin, to me, from my assessment, probably of all the new hires in the league, probably the most underwhelming hire there is. I know they've got Bo Nix at quarterback. They've got Tank Bigsby at running back. They do have some playmakers, but for whatever reason, man, I'm feeling a situation for Auburn this year where it's going to take them a little longer to kind of gel and come together under this staff. And, because again, you have to think about this guy's coming from Boise, Idaho, from, coaching Boise State. He's never even coached a single game here in the Southeast. Probably him and his staff, while he was at Boise, rarely recruited this area. So there's already going to be this disconnect there between, the majority of his staff and the area. So I do think it takes Auburn a longer time to kind of, get back into the swing of that, and again, and if South Carolina's playing well at that point in the year, like the week before they're playing at Missouri, if they go up there and they win that game, then there's a ton of momentum, in South Carolina's way. So, I could see that being a win. But man, 6 wins, I think it's going to be a tall order for the Gamecocks to get bowl eligible this year. Again, my personal assessment, 4 wins. I think 4 wins is kind of a safe bet. 5 wins is doable when you factor in that Auburn game near the end of the year, right? But again, it's right before the Clemson game, the in-state, heated rivalry. So, potentially could be another situation where, if South Carolina's not playing the way they're capable, that could be another ugly game. So, 4 wins to 5, I think is a successful year in Shane's first year. But obviously, if they get bowl eligibility, of course, everyone's going to take that, because I don't think a lot of people, maybe outside of the crazed diehard fan base folks, are seeing that right now.
Corey Diaz is the Greenville News South Carolina Gamecocks beat reporter. He's based in Columbia. He is going to join us every single Monday at 1 o'clock to and through the season. Again, tremendous follow on Twitter, especially if you are a Gamecocks fan. Follow him at Corey Diaz, CORYDIAZ _TGN is in the Greenville News. Corey, my man, always great to have you on the show, buddy. I appreciate it. We will do it again a week from today, and the next time we do it will be the last time we do it without football. Can't wait.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. It really is time, man, to get into this and rock and roll. So I appreciate you guys and looking forward to our weekly visits, man. It's going to be awesome.
Yes, indeed. That is Corey Diaz. You can again follow him on Twitter, CORYDIAZ _TGN, and listen to him every single Monday right here on The Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Let's take a break. When we come back, I react to some of the comments of Paul Feinbaum about the Big Ten, ACC, Pac-12 alliance, because I don't think Paul gets it. Talk about that coming up next on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. And we're back. Let's make me the same size again. There we go. Lounge in Lonzo, ladies and gentlemen. My man's comfy, and that is the best way to live through life.
I wish that was the real reason I'm doing what I'm doing, but you know, the soreness is progressively getting worse. As happens.
Are we going to talk about why, or do we prefer to leave that?
I don't care. I'm
Lonzo lost the ladder match against himself over the weekend. He's okay, I think.
Yeah, I'm fine. If there was internal bleeding, you know, it would show up the skin level somewhere. I'm good. Good. Just missed a step. Took a fall. It was a confined space. Knee gave out a little bit. So I thrust backwards into the back of the couch, which was very unbending.
Unbendy.
My back, on the other hand, was not unbending. So these things right here under my eyes, that's because of pain. But, you know, they'll go away eventually.
But champions rise to the occasion. My man is here.
Most
He
of
have absolutely justifiably called out today and did not do that.
Yeah, I know someone who would have been out for a week. But unlike other elderly, you know, I know how to fall. So
He knows how to take a bump.
yeah, I do. I did when I hit the back of the couch. I thought, so this is what being slammed into the side of the ring probably feels like, except they're in shape and I'm not.
Correct.
But I'm smart enough to realize, you know what? My day is done. I'm not
Should
climbing
be
back up
taking
that
bumps
ladder.
anymore,
Yeah,
correct. Unlike Goldberg.
poor guy.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lonzo on a tremendous weekend of wrestling, which we're going to talk about in the next hour of the show. Probably around 2:20. We're going to make we got to do one. It was too good of a weekend in wrestling not to talk
It
about.
was, combined, you know, from Friday all the way through Sunday. It was pretty
Friday
good.
night, the best in the world showed back up. Saturday, SummerSlam was a B+. Solid show. I got a theory as to why. And then we got NXT TakeOver, which I am in the midst of watching right now. Have not gotten to finish yet, but enjoyed it. That was the weekend that was in professional wrestling, and we got to bring it up. But the match of the century, ladies and gentlemen, went down at the Compound this weekend, where Lonzo was defeated in a ladder match by Lonzo. Or the ladder.
Or the couch.
Or the couch.
Yeah.
Or the floor.
Yeah, well, no, didn't hit the floor.
Oh, you didn't make it to the floor.
No, I didn't. I didn't. So I'm working on my vaulted ceiling, a little problem, and up on 4 or 5 foot step ladder. Went to step off, missed a step, got a little disoriented, and so was forced to fall/jump. And so I come down, I land on my feet, and it's a confined space where I had a ladder. Should have made more room. I did not. It's about 2 feet. So the bar's on one side, the back of the couch is on the other side. I managed to land in between. The bad knee, the reconstructed knee, gives out as they do. And then I am forced backwards into the back of the couch in the small of my back. And then thrust forward again and able to catch myself before slamming my head into the bar, which would have probably hurt a whole lot more than anything else. In which case, I walked over, I sat down, and was like, I'm done for the day. I am done.
Lonzo 0-1 against himself, gravity, and ladders in this case.
Yeah, but so if you've ever wanted to know what an Extreme Rules match feels like to a, maybe a 5% degree or something like that. Now I got a little bit of taste of it. I don't want none of that.
Bumps are no joke, man.
They are not.
Bumps are no joke. And Lonzo took a hard one. So those of you watching on the stream that have seen Lonzo all but take an ice bath on screen so far. The reason why is because gravity, ladies and gentlemen, is undefeated.
Movements are ginger, like if you've ever been in a car wreck, which a lot of us have been in car wrecks, like 2 or 3 days later, you start feeling it a little bit more. That's happening to me as the show progresses. But you know what? I'm here. I've had major surgeries and showed up the next day with an ice pack. That's what I do.
Hey, we got work to do, son.
We do.
Play like a champion today. Champions rise to the occasion, and other phrases and sayings involving the word champions. Lonzo showed up. That's all I'm saying. All right, 844-477-3776, 844-GSP, ESPN. Text us at 71307 on the Ingles Market text line. Texter says, Rob, with your experience in the past, any advice for a new coach coaching flag football for 5 and 6 years old? Yes, I got a couple of different pieces of advice for you, Texter. And let me say, and I mean this very sincerely, I appreciate you, A, asking, and B, taking this on. This is important. This is important. The one thing I would tell you, as somebody who has coached youth ball before, at this age, there's a couple of parts that I think it's important to remember. The first is, yeah, they're kids. Yeah, they're 5 and 6, but talk to them, right? Talk to them. Number one, never, ever, 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 ever let your emotions over a game become more important than communicating. Kids are smart. They're dumb, but they're smart. All right. You know what I'm saying? Lonzo's laughing, but he knows what he's saying. That or he's just trying to laugh through the pain. Kids are dumb, but they're very smart. They get it. They understand. They can read the room. They can, even if you're not saying things, they get it. They can understand what is being presented to them.
I was going to say, I have some advice. Pick a kid. We'll call him Johnny. Take Johnny, make Johnny an example to the rest of the team, because 5 and 6 year olds need focus. And fear is a great focus. So anytime that Johnny messes up, make him run a lap and make everybody else run too, and blame it on Johnny. So everybody hates Johnny. Now, Johnny might be scarred for life, but the rest of them, they're going to understand what discipline is like, and you're going to have a good, solid season.
Here's my advice. Don't do any of that. Don't do any of that.
In all seriousness, just have patience, because those kids are it's hard to get them to focus. I remember my daughter she's 6 foot tall. She was always taller than every other kid. So they moved her up from T-ball. We signed her up for T-ball and put her in softball. And she was 6 years old, and she shouldn't have been playing yet, because she didn't have focus to play that. She was out in the outfield picking daisies, and they had to get her attention to go get the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're going to have that a little bit, as long as you make it fun for them. That's the most important thing, is making it fun for them. And they're out there and they're exercising. They're not, in their house playing a video game or something. So have fun.
Yeah. Have fun. It's a game. It's for fun. Communicate with them. Talk to them. Teach them. Right? It's not about emotion. You guys, I know a lot of adults get really mad at the participation trophy culture and the whole premise of, we don't, like, I know my nephew's playing in a baseball league back in Florida, and they don't keep score, right? They don't keep score. He's 3. All right. He's 3. He's 3.5. All right.
If you don't keep score, how do you know who wins? If you don't know how, if you don't know who wins, then you don't know who the losers are.
Right. But maybe at 3 years old, we shouldn't be identifying kids as losers. Maybe we should respect the fact that they will learn in time that you are going to lose and you're going to win. Maybe we should instead instill the first lesson, which is go out there and bust it and do your best and work and try to get better because you're going to learn to lose in life. You're going to learn to lose. But more important than the lesson of you're going to lose,
losing has consequences, and people don't like losers.
Right, but you are consistent. Like people in that mindset are consistently focusing on the negative. Maybe spend some time teaching kids that, yes, you are going to lose. It's going to happen, and you are going to lose, and it's going to hurt, and there will be consequences with losing. But how many times do we say this? It's not how many times you lose. It's that every time you lose, you get up and you try again, right? You go back at it. That's what you teach kids at 5 and 6. You teach them that it doesn't really matter what happens as long as you are busting your rear to go out there and be the best version of yourself that you can be. That's what's expected of you. Even if you lose, I expect not wins. I expect you to go out there and be the best version of you that you can be, and learn that to these kids early. Educate them about that early. Don't put the fear of an L in front of them. Give them the mindset to be the best version of themselves that they can be, and realize that success will come with that.
You know, all
That's my advice.
all that is sound advice, and in the end, winners get ice cream.
I can't with you, Lonzo. I can't with you today. I just can't with you today. 84447. You know what?
That's
Did you
what
get ice cream after you fell off a ladder? Did you treat yourself afterwards? You shouldn't have, Lonzo.
Actually, I had pizza.
You shouldn't have. No,
but
you
know,
should have got broccoli, no cheese, no salt, just broccoli,
By the way,
because that's what losers get.
I like plain broccoli. It's pretty good. The after effects, not so much, but I do like eating broccoli.
And we're taking a break, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. And this is ESPN Upstate.
Prescription colon cancer screening option for people 45 plus at average risk. Have you screened for colon cancer? Not yet. Don't wait. It's more treatable when caught in early stages. Tell me more. Cologuard is non-invasive and it's used at home. It detects altered DNA in your stool to find 92% of colon cancers. 92%? Yep, even those in early stages.
This was seen in a clinical study with patients 50 and older. Any positive results should be followed by a diagnostic colonoscopy. False positive and negative results may occur. Cologuard is not a replacement for colonoscopy in high-risk patients. Do not use if you have had adenomas, have inflammatory bowel disease and certain hereditary syndromes, or a personal or family history of colon cancer.
Most insured patients pay $0. Ask your provider or an online prescriber if Cologuard is right for you, or visit Cologuard.com.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relief, and what matters most to you. Language for life. Learn a language of ease. Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. AutoZone, America's #1 battery destination, because they offer free battery testing and replacement battery. $9.99, and they both your battery solution. AutoZone, Auto.
So I see something's trending, and this guy asked a question about something that I've never heard of before.
Okay.
We all know red flag movies, Fight Club, The Joker, etc., that we can all spot on sight. But is there any green flag movies that you hear someone say that makes you instantly trust or like a person? So that would imply if someone likes Fight Club or Joker or something, you shouldn't like that person, because that means they're into violence or psychotic or something. Is that what they're asking? Because people are offended by the question.
I'm offended by the phrasing of the question. I understand what they think they're saying, because there's a difference between I like the movie and that movie is my identity, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a difference. And I think you need to, like, green flag, red flag being if you make that movie your identity, like you quote the Joker all the time. That's weird. No, it's not an identity. If you're all about that Fight Club life, like you're a 38-year-old man and you have the poster hanging in your bedroom because it's your identity. No.
Yeah,
That's too
posters are for weirdos.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would be what I would make the argument this individual is trying to say, but came up short.
Whereas I'm 52 and have anime and Batman posters hanging in my office. But,
But
is
again,
that
it's
a
not-
red flag
it's not-
or a green flag? Because I like anime and
But
Batman.
I would argue it's not your identity,
Right.
right? Like that's
Yeah,
not
it's
who
not.
it is. It's a part of you. It's a part of what you like. But it's not like sports, right? Like there are a lot of women who look at me and they see how into sports I am, and it's a turnoff for them. But sports are not who I am. It's a chunk. It's a part of it. It's one of my favorite things, but it's not my only identity. And I think it's when you start crossing that line.
I'd never heard of that's a red flag for okay.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is ESPN Upstate. I am Rob Lonzo. Across the glass from me, metaphorically and literally, 844-GSP ESPN. Clip number one, if you don't mind, Alonzo. Paul Feinbaum was doing his show the other day, and we mentioned on Friday that the alliance between the Big Ten, the ACC, and the Pac-12 is likely coming sooner rather than later, including some folks who believe that it may be this week that those conferences announce their intention to create some sort of alliance that will allow them to create interesting out-of-conference schedules and create schedules that they will try to steal viewership from the SEC, et cetera, et cetera. I gave you my reasons that I think this partnership, this alliance is being created. Basically, it's for bargaining power at the table for when the Southeastern Conference begins trying to flex their muscle, specifically and predominantly at the table of the discussion for playoff expansion, right? Paul Feinbaum decided to go off and talk a little bit about this. Here is what Feinbaum had to say, and I'll give you my reaction on the other side.
In the past, I'll just point you to last summer for a point of reference in alliances. Usually, in years past, the SEC's closest friend among conferences has been the ACC. I think in 2008, the ACC and the SEC tried to get the +1 enacted. It didn't work. As far as alliances, the SEC and the Big 12 have been close over the years. The Sugar Bowl tie-in between the Big 12 and the SEC, the Big 12 SEC basketball alliance, that's all over now. And what all these other leagues are saying is the SEC has left us behind. To me, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for proud conferences like the Pac-12. Well, let me scratch that. Like the Big Ten and the ACC to join with the Pac-12 and pretty well admit that we're having to combine forces to compete with the SEC. And I cannot wait for the explanation next week when these commissioners get together about why they left out the Big 12. That's where all this began. The SEC allegedly raided the Big 12, but these guys are not backing them up either.
So Paul Feinbaum says it's almost embarrassing that these three conferences have to form an alliance to compete with the SEC. Paul, they don't have a choice. They don't have an option. So this is one of those, if you are in a spot where you like the classic formula of college football, and this is what Paul doesn't want to hear. And honestly, I will tell you guys for full disclosure, what we say, we don't get vetted by ESPN, right? We're an affiliate and we work under them, but they don't vet what we say. They don't give us lines or approval, disapproval on what we're going to say. So I'm free to say this. If you like the classic, the old school model of college football, Lonzo, the SEC are the bad guys here. They are the ones, by bringing Oklahoma and Texas into the fold, by demolishing the Big 12 and doing so for the sake of making more money. The SEC are the bad guys. They are the wolf at the door. They are the ones that are taking from the other kingdoms and putting the armies on the ground to take over. So the other smaller kingdoms, of which there are 3 remaining, because the Big 12 is gutted, okay? They are gutted. Their armies are destroyed. They have turncoated and have joined the Lannisters in King's Landing, the SEC. The Big 12 is demolished. They have no more bannermen to put to the cause. I'm going to stop using Game of Thrones references now, but you get what I'm saying, okay? The SEC are the bad guys here. See, the thing is, those are all the things that I would say if I was the big baddie too, right? When I realize that the last remaining good guys are beginning to amass, are beginning to group, are beginning to come together to work together, as the big bad guy, I would say to them, are you not embarrassed that you must work with each other to defeat me? Are you not ashamed it takes your joint efforts to defeat me? Right? Like, that's what I'd say if I was the bad guy. Of course, I would say, hey, it is embarrassing that you have to. Hey, ACC, aren't you embarrassed that you have to work with the Pac-12? I mean, who the hell is the Pac-12? Hey, Big Ten, you are supposed to be the most proud college football conference of all, and you're stooping to work with the ACC in order to compete with us? Big Ten, why don't you just compete with us, the SEC? ACC, why don't you just compete with us, the SEC? The answer is, Lonzo, sometimes you just look across the ring and you realize that the other guy is bigger, faster, stronger, and has better guns than you do. And so you have one option, which is what? Guerrilla war. That's all you got. That's Gueri, not a gorilla. You have one choice, which is to go wholesale guerrilla warfare. And that's what this alliance is. Because they can't compete. You can match the ACC, the Pac-12, the Big Ten all up together. And even with Clemson and Florida State and Miami and Ohio State and Michigan and USC and UCLA, they can't compete with the resources that the SEC has on the table. Their only option is to join together, go guerrilla war, and try to make it happen. So Feinbaum can try to shame them and embarrass them all that they want. But Paul Feinbaum is an SEC apologist and an ESPN apologist and is going to do whatever he can to make them look like the bad guys. Paul, you are the bad guy, and you are the spokesperson for the bad guy. You are the megaphone for the bad guy. Of course you're saying that and trying to shame the ACC, the Big Ten, and the Pac-12 from forming an alliance. Why? Because it's the last remaining threat between college football being the SEC and what the SEC says goes, and nobody else gets a voice. The ACC, Big Ten, Pac-12 alliance is the last obstacle, the last barrier between the SEC and complete and total domination and control over college football. So, of course, Paul Feinbaum is going on a show and trying to shame the ACC, the Big Ten, and the Pac-12 from joining forces. It's because that's the last hurdle, and he is the spokesperson for the wolf at the door, ladies and gentlemen.
It is inevitable when the Legion of Doom is out there that heroes have to band together and put together a league to take down the Legion of Doom. It's a fun nerd there. So
literally did like a D&D bad guy voice.
Yeah, you did.
After a full Game of Thrones analogy.
You did, and I took it to another avenue of nerddom. What else are they supposed to do? I mean, they have to. The other question is, once this alliance forms, how soon till the alliance morphs into just one big thing? They change the name, and it's just another. So then we have 2 conferences, and that's it. We've been talking about having super conferences anyway. We thought there'd be 3. It looks like there may just end up being 2. Is that a bad thing? Or do we end up with like the AFL, NFL thing, and they forget in the end, it's the winner of this against the winner of that. And that's how we crown a national champion. The winner of the SEC versus the winner of the Alliance.
The Alliance, the CAF, the CFA, the College Football Alliance. Look, we joke about it, Zoe, but we joke about it, but I don't know if it's a joke. Really, I don't know if it's a joke. I honestly think that's a realistic possibility down the road. That the alliance here, the College Football Alliance between the Big Ten, the Pac-12, and the ACC becomes its own super conference. They may just get to the point they go, hey guys, we created this alliance in order to give ourselves some out-of-conference scheduling that will compete with what the SEC is attempting to do. Why don't we just go ahead and lean into it? And then when it's all said and done, we can challenge the SEC's champ with our champ to have a true national champ. That's a realistic possibility. But as it stands right now, the Southeastern Conference is the dominant factor. The dominant factor in college football. And Feinbaum and ESPN are trying, and again, I'm not trying to dump on ESPN, obviously. But it's pretty much known and established at this point that they have the vested interest in this. And Paul's part of that conglomerate. So no, it doesn't shock me in the least. It doesn't shock me at all that Paul Feinbaum will be the guy going out there and going, how embarrassing for the Atlantic Coast Conference to work with the lowly Pac-12. Why? Because those two hooking up with the Big Ten is the last remaining obstacle between him, his conference, his network, and domination of the college football marketplace, which is what they want. And there's only two options: true competition, or the SEC just owns college football and sets the rules. Of course the Lannisters want to own Westeros. And of course they'll take down every other kingdom and try to embarrass them on the way. That's where we are. That's what this is. Quick break. We'll come back to wrap up hour numero dos on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
So I just became even more of a fan of a certain wrestler.
That would be?
I'll just read you what he said, and you can try to figure out who it is. It's funny, isn't it, how Punk debuts, goes on talk about dream matches and young up-and-coming opponents he wants to face at the media scrum, but doesn't mention yours truly. I'm not insulted by this at all. Let me explain so you wrestling marks can understand, and this doesn't get taken out of context. I take this as a compliment. You see, Punk knows he's not on par with me in the ring and on the microphone. He knows he's not worthy to mention my name unless I allow him to and give him the time of day. Punk knows I'd out-talk him and embarrass him if we were face-to-face in the ring with a mic in hand. He said he was here to help. Well, I don't need help, and certainly not from some old has-been relic from a forgotten timeline. It's business as usual.
So it's an AEW guy. It's a young AEW guy.
See, if you read this to me, I'd know right away who it was. Because obviously he's better than Punk and he knows it.
Oh, it's MJF. Of course it's MJF. Of course it's MJF.
And MJF is absolutely right. I would take MJF on the mic over CM Punk any day. He will destroy him.
I don't know, man.
He will destroy him with a smirk. That's all it takes. Sad part, there's a certain amount of the fan base, you being included probably, who would, if you had a choice to see one or the other, you'd go see CM Punk, even though MJF, better wrestler, better on the mic, and has a future that can make him 100 times better than anything CM Punk ever did if he stays healthy.
That's a tough hypothetical. Well, no, first off, I think you're so anti-Punk. CM Punk's run at the Authority before he left WWE is one of my favorite stories wrestling has ever told. Seriously, it is. Because as it at the time, jaded, jilted wrestling fan, CM Punk was the first wrestler that I really thought brought my dissatisfaction with WWE at the time into a storyline that I actually felt represented, and I loved it.
You and your grungy angst.
Yeah, but also I was 25 when this was happening, so I had grungy angst.
My point, yes.
So it was a great story, right? I've told you many times, MJF's my favorite bad guy in the game right now. He is the best in the game at being a bad guy. I don't love the hypothetical.
We have talked about this on the air. I'm not sure where, but on the air, MJF
wrestling at 220.
is the heel in all of wrestling right now.
I agree with that.
No, we did talk. We talked about it on Fight
you're saying
Club.
we did talk about
Yeah,
it.
we did.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'd like to go on the record and say that no, it has not gotten old to hear that yet. You know what I did? Actually, this is a true story. So Sunday, yesterday, the Greenville Triumph had a home match. And I had told the people, because there's a lot of folks in the Reedy River Riot, which is a supporters group for the Triumph, that are fans of the show. And the Triumph have been I think the Triumph are a big part of the reason that we won. I think one of the strengths we had going for us was that we were able to lean on our interaction with our local clubs, right? The Triumph, the Swamp Rabbits, the Drive, Wofford Furman, et cetera. And we were able to put that into the reel to show that, hey, we are not just a sports talk show. We're a local sports talk show that does a little bit of anything and everything. And I think there's something to be said for that. So big fans of the Triumph. They've been tremendous with us. You all know that they do their segment with us at 1:20 every single Wednesday. That will be the truth this week as well. Anyway, we were at the tailgate party yesterday evening, and I had no less than 4 different people walk up to me, Lonzo, and go, "Hey, where's the trophy? I wanted to get a picture with it. I forgot it at the house. I forgot to bring the trophy to the Triumph tailgate." And I had some of our award-winning listeners who were there who wanted a picture with the trophy. And Lonzo, I just flat out forgot it.
There comes a time when you got to put that thing where it belongs on a pedestal. But you did kind of say you were going to.
I said multiple times I was going to bring it.
You did.
And I just blanked. I was like, I'm getting ready to go, right? Like I'm getting ready to go. And I go from, let me get I got to get the drumsticks ready because I play snare drum in the drum line now. I got to get the drumsticks and the gloves ready. I got to go get my drum key so that I can tune up the drum head, blah, 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 blah. I got to get the cooler ready. I got to make sure that I've got enough libations to get through the tailgate party. I got to make sure I got lunch before I get there. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to get ice from the gas station. I got to pick up an energy drink so I can be ready for it, yada, yada, yada. And then I get there and I get out of the car and I'm walking up. And Ryan, one of our award-winning listeners, walks up and goes, dude, where's the trophy? And I went, son of a gun. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So that's on me, which means I got to take it out next weekend for a spin. Coming up in the next hour of the show, we got a couple of texts responding to Paul Feinbaum's thoughts. We'll play those, or we'll talk about those for you. Jags, Saints tonight. I'll tell you what I expect to see out of TL16 this evening, and a little wrestling after a great weekend. All that coming at the next hour of the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
The results at Michigan, probably the best for Kevin Harvick, as with those results, he clinches a spot into the NASCAR playoffs. One of 16 drivers now.
So there is a company. I'm curious as to if you're interested in this, and I'm curious if anybody in the group is interested, or anybody in the stream is interested in this. There is a company, Lonzo. There is a company that makes candles. But what they have created are candles that smell like theme park rides from like Universal and Disney. So like, those park rides like Space Mountain and Pirates of the Caribbean and the Haunted Mansion at Disney. Disney has created these smells that they pump into the mansion or into the Pirates of the Caribbean ride so that it smells like, and it's just one more way to get your senses intact. They have gone and they have replicated the smells from within these theme park rides. So your house can smell like the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disney, or it can smell like the Haunted Mansion, which is on screen right now. It can smell like the old E.T.'s Adventure, etc. So if you're a big theme park fan, like this is kind of a cool way to trigger, because the most powerful memories, statistically proven, the most powerful memories are actually triggered by smell.
So what smells like ET? Does it smell like Reese's Pieces? I mean, what does that smell like?
I mean, ET's been shut down for years. I remember riding as a kid, and I guess part of me, the reason I say that, part of me is curious.
I've never been to Disney, so I've never
been to Disney?
No, so
Okay.
I've never ridden any of those rides, and probably wouldn't anyway.
These won't be a big thing for you. I have been to Disney hundreds of times.
Yeah, because I'm sitting here trying to. Why does a theme park smell like something?
So, like when you ride
Unless
the
it's like
Pirates of the
vomit
Caribbean,
or
for
something.
instance, when you go in there, they will mix like saltwater, beach smell, pineapple juice, and gunpowder, and they'll mix it all together. And then they have these spritzers that spritz it into the air as your boat goes into the ride, so that you feel like
It's
you're in the
immersion.
place.
I get
Absolutely.
it. Yeah.
Texter says bowl game alliances and agreements will be the next to go rogue, and then it's all over for the NCAA. I think it's already all over for the NCAA, right? Like we've talked about this a couple times. I think it's already all over for the NCAA. I think that the NCAA is toast at this point. I think the majority of us believe that the NCAA is. I think the NCAA believes that the NCAA is toast. I think that's why a few weeks ago you had Mark Emmert go out and say he thinks, again, it's very, very, very rare that the guy who profits the most off of an organization goes out and says, I think this organization should do less. It's very rare that the guy who would profit the most off of an entity goes out and says, I think this entity should have less responsibility, should have less to do with what's happening, et cetera, et cetera. But that's what Mark Emmert did, right? Like, that's exactly what Mark Emmert did. He said, I think the NCAA should have less power. I think it should have less of a central stake in all of this, et cetera, et cetera. And to me, it's a little bit shocking. It is a little bit shocking, but I think it's exactly for the reason this texter said. We are at the point where the last dominoes are falling for the power structure of the NCAA. And part of the reason that the ACC, the Big Ten, and the Pac-12, part of the reason that these three entities have decided to create this alliance, have decided to merge with each other, is because that writing's on the wall. And if it gets to the point that the NCAA is donezo, if it gets to the point that the NCAA is out, is no mas, then the SEC today is the next central power structure, right? Like, who right now is going to have more say in the direction of college football than the SEC? Nobody. And the writing's on the wall as far as that goes. So the Big Ten, the Pac-12, and the Atlantic Coast Conference have all gotten to the point that they have to say, hey, look, we don't like it. We don't love it. But we know that if we have any prayer of not allowing the SEC to become the dictators of college football, then we have to work together. We don't have a choice. We have to work together. And I think that's the spot they're in, right? And I think they know that is the spot that they are in. And I think they recognize that they don't have a choice but to push in that direction. So I kind of find it, and Lonzo, I don't know if I'm being unfair, or maybe I'm being too harsh on Paul. Maybe I'm unleashing a bad guy narrative on him that he does not deserve. But I listened to those comments from Paul Feinbaum, and Zoe, what I hear is the spokesperson for the entity lined up to become the centralizing figure, trying to demoralize and dissuade the remaining entities. You can call them good or bad. I mean, I think we kind of went off there for just a second on the Game of Thrones fighting each other premise, right? I think that you can call them good guys, you can call them bad guys. It depends on which side of the power structure your loyalties lie. It's the SEC or to the NCAA or to just college football the way it used to be. But if you're Paul, we know which side of the argument you're on, right? You're pro-growth of the Southeastern Conference. You're pro-ESPN being the power broker of college football. And you are the consigliere of that particular group. You have a vested interest in the SEC and ESPN being successful here. So it becomes pretty obvious, to me anyway, Lonzo, tell me where you disagree, that there's a reason Feinbaum's saying what he's saying and trying to shame the ACC, the Big Ten, and the Pac-12 for merging. It's because he knows they are the last group of swords between his party and domination of the kingdom that is college football. That's it.
Do you think Feinbaum is surprised that people like you are upset that he's saying what he's saying? I mean, he is exactly what he appears to be. He is the mouthpiece of the SEC. He's the SEC apologist. I don't think anything he said really matters as far as that goes. He's found an enemy. He knows what that enemy, and that enemy is going to be his future, because that's what the SEC is going to be facing. That's who he's going to have to deal with. So demoralize the enemy as much as you can before they form in strength, which will be coming soon. Get your shots in early.
That's it. Paul Feinbaum is to directly benefit from the growth of the SEC and the growth of ESPN. Of course he is. Of course he's on board with that. And I got to tell you, if I was in that role, I'd be doing the same thing, right? I'd be doing the same thing. If you're an SEC ESPN guy, your belief is that your party being in ultimate control of this situation as a whole is better for college football, but it directly profits you too. So of course, he's going to come down on the Big Ten, ACC, and Pac-12 and tell them that they're embarrassing themselves and tell them that they're embarrassing college football and that it's embarrassing that they need each other to get past the SEC. I loved in there. Did you hear in the middle of Paul's quote, Lonzo? He said, in the past, the SEC and the SEC and the ACC have been as close as family when it comes to making football deals together. Their best dance partner has been the ACC. They've worked in tandem, and now the ACC is turning its back on the SEC and going to dance with the Big Ten, and the Pac-12. How awful. How embarrassing. I feel like the Alex Jones of football right now.
See, I thought you were going more VKM there.
Listen here. It's shameful that you would leave the largest entity in sports entertainment and go dance with the devil in the Pac-12. Shameful. It's really not, though. It's really not. They don't have a choice, man. You've taken the choice away. We all know that the SEC runs college football now. We all know that for a fact. It's obvious that they are the power brokers. They are the power structure. So what is the ACC supposed to do? What's the Big Ten? What is the Pac-12 supposed to do? Right? They're running up against the dragon, and it's one knight with a sword. They only have one choice, which is they may not all like each other. They don't have a choice. I just found Paul's comments there to be a little bit, I don't know, opaque, right? It's like when you, I don't know, man. It's like how many times have we had in the past a quarterback on a 6-game L streak in the NFL, and the quarterback comes to the podium and he's like, hey, we're real close to putting it together. We're real close to turning the corner. We got good chemistry. We got good game plan. Coach has got this. I've got that. We're going to be just fine. And we all come in the next day and we go on the air and we go, wait a minute, is this guy even paying attention? Y'all are 0-6 in your last 6. You're throwing at a 55% clip. What do you mean you're fine? And then somebody inevitably goes, Lonzo inevitably turns on the mic and goes, guys, he's a quarterback. What do you expect him to say? What do you expect him to say? You expect him to come in and go, we suck. I suck. My receivers suck. Coach sucks. Our team sucks. Our fans suck. Our stadium sucks. Everything sucks. No. He's going to hype his boys. He's going to hype him. He's going to hype his coach. He's going to hype his fans. He's going to hype it all. Of course he's going to. That's what you do. Right? And that's all this is. Paul's hyping his guys. Paul's trying to get his guys to understand the direction that they're going in. Paul's trying to get his guys the best strategic positioning that they can get. And that best strategic positioning that he can get is to convince the ACC, the Big Ten, and the Pac-12 that they should be embarrassed to be working with each other. And they should not. They should not. That's with all due respect to Paulie Paul and the gang, a bad take. It's a bad take. And it's a bad take solely and entirely because you're the dragon. You're the bad guy. You're the juggernaut. This is the only way they can fight you. I get, Paul. I get why you're saying what you're saying. I understand why you're saying what you're saying. But it's a bad take. All right? It's a bad take. It's that simple. All right, 844-477-3776, 844-GSP-ESPN. Text us on the Ingles Market text line at 71307, 71307. When we come back, we normally don't do wrestling segments on Mondays. We usually save it for Fight Club on Thursday or Fanboy Friday. But we had a weekend of wrestling this weekend. So Lonzo and I will give you our thoughts. When we come back, I'm Rob. He's the great one. And you're listening to The Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. What's up, dude? How you feeling, buddy?
Saturday was fun.
Saturday was fun, man.
Both of us shot the best rounds we've ever
Best
shot.
rounds I've ever shot in South Carolina, 100%. 100%. Broke 90. Well, I didn't break 90. I shot 90. I wish I'd have broke 90. And you know what ticks me off? I did my math wrong going on to 18. So I had,
You thought you had an extra stroke to give, but you didn't.
and so I had a putt coming up from about 30 feet. And I was like, if I get this to within just 10 feet, I can two putt it. So just get it close. So I realized that all I was looking for was don't leave it short, because if I'd have left it short, I'd have been putting uphill again. I wanted to leave it long. Nope, sorry, other way. If I'd have left it short, I'd have been putting downhill. So I wanted to putt long so I could putt back uphill. I thought I had 3 putts to play with. And if I'd have two putted it, I'd have broke 90. But I got back into the cart and I realized I did my math wrong. So if I would have played for a 2 putt instead of a 3, I'd have had an 89 and I'd have broke 90 for the first time in 10 years.
I'm gonna get with Patrick. He said he's got a lot of Mondays off. And I guess he lives somewhere on the Polo Road side of town.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, meet me over at Haas Golf Training Center. I'll help you out.
Oh, let's go. Let's
So,
go.
like, hell yeah.
Hell yeah. I love it.
Yeah. It was good though. That was a fun course. I had to message him and say, hey, just so you know, Ashley about broke her ankle in the parking lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So next to where we were parked, like if our car was here and right there was the line, there was
essentials like a new glove, cleats, and a jumbo pack of sunflower seeds. And you used your Bank of America customized cash rewards credit card, choosing to earn 3% cash back on online shopping, which could increase to 5.25% as a preferred rewards member. Rewards that you could fund the cost of an essential piece of your post-game recovery. A hidden path. Apply for yours at Bank of
You all right over there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good.
Huh?
I'll be fine when the mic goes on.
All right, the Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob Alonzo and you talk some wrestling for just a second. What a weekend we had. One of the better wrestling weekends we've had in a hot minute. Friday night, it kicked it all off. We had AEW Rampage in Chicago, Illinois. They called it the First Dance. And, look, this is one of those things that I'm going to ask y'all that are wrestling fans to involve yourself in this conversation. Because Lonzo and I were talking about a pre-show. And we've come to an impasse. I do like CM Punk. And I like AEW right now today, like AEW better than WWE. Lonzo is not a Punk fan and remains grounded with Vince's gang. Although I think AEW is growing on him week by week, if I may just say so myself. I thought that CM Punk's return, first off, I thought it was the correct decision and a very cool decision to just open the show with it, right? Just open the show. Just let him set the tone for the show.
Except for the fact that the wrestling wasn't really, it was kind of meh. So I have a question for you, though. So did those people pay to come just to watch that, or were there other tapings going on? Or because you pay the money that you got to pay to come to watch an hour, to basically watch CM Punk come out and sit on the stage for a while or on the ramp for a while to prolong his pop, which is what he did. Which is, I'm fine with that. I mean, you do that, and genuinely, it may have meant a lot to him. And when he apologized, he was apologizing to me. I don't accept it, but still, he realizes that he needed to apologize. But would you pay to go and watch the kind of matches that were on after him? Wouldn't you feel a little bit cheated? Especially if you're an AEW fan, but you're not really a CM Punk. I mean, you know who he is. He's an older guy. You have a clue who he is, but you're a younger fan. You're going to see some AEW finally in Chicago, and then you get the matches that you got after that. Would you feel cheated as far as paying the money to go see that? Because the matches were not really up to par. Because AEW will have a great show, and then the next show will be kind of eh. And this was kind of one of those shows. If you take CM Punk away from that, it was not really that good.
So the people in Chicago, I mean, CM Punk's a folk hero in Chicago, right?
I get that.
Like he's the Jordan of wrestling in Chicago.
It's like paying for an autograph session, but not getting an autograph.
No, see, I think it's the opposite, right? Like, I think they bought the ticket to see CM Punk, not even wrestle, just to see and hear him. Because to me, hearing CM Punk talk about the last 7 years and why he walked away and why he's out and why he decided to come back, that professional wrestling is telling stories, right? It's telling stories. It's what I say to all my friends when wrestling's fake. Yeah, we know. So is everything else on TV, but we don't watch it. I don't watch professional wrestling to see real fights the same way I don't watch The Bachelor to see real relationships. It's all fake. It's all scripted. All of it.
Don't use that as an example, because I would like to believe that you don't actually watch,
I don't watch
The Bachelor.
I don't watch The Bachelor, just so we're all abundantly clear.
That puts you in the party of somebody else.
Yeah,
You don't want to be there.
I don't watch The
You don't want to
Bachelor.
be in that room.
Just so we're all abundantly clear. Okay? But you get the point. It's the first example I could come with on the fly. Of course it's fake. Of course it's scripted. Of course it's for fun. Yada, yada, yada. I watch it for the stories. Some are better than others. Some are terrible. Some are great. Some are legendary. We were talking before, Zoe and I were talking about why I'm a CM Punk fan. And the answer is because when Punk was telling his story through WWE, I was in my mid-20s. And I was a kid who grew up watching and loving wrestling, who was disillusioned by the direction that the McMahons and Triple H were taking WWE at the time. And I felt like WWE didn't have a spot for me anymore. They didn't have stories for him anymore, characters for him anymore. And here comes this young kid from Chicago named CM Punk, who was telling them to their face in storyline. You know what he was? And it's hard to say the sentence because this other guy was my generation too. CM Punk told the My Generation Stone Cold story, right? Why was Stone Cold so big at the time that Stone Cold was so big? Lonzo, it's because every one of us have wanted to walk up to the boss, throw the double middle finger in his face, and then stun him through a table. We've all had the boss that we wanted to do that to, but the difference was we could not. We could not. We can't do that. But Stone Cold could, and we live vicariously through him. So if you're a little younger than when Stone Cold was at his best, and for the text that I just got, no, Tommy, listen to what I said. I do not watch The Bachelor. I have never watched The Bachelor. I will never watch The Bachelor. Stop.
After the show, we'll have a conference about what references to use and what not to use. Because
clearly, this was one not to use.
Yes, because that's already being used by that show for men, and you don't want to do that. Yeah.
I do not, have not, will not watch The Bachelor. All right. Now back to what I was saying. Back to your regularly scheduled programming. CM Punk was big for me for the same reason that Stone Cold was so big for those of you that are a touch older than me, because he told a story that I connected with. He said the things to his boss that I wish I could have said to mine. He was angsty when I was angsty. He was willing to tell Triple H, listen, Paul, and this is not CM Punk talking to Triple H. This is Phil Brooks talking to Paul Levesque. Oh my God, Lonzo, forget the pipe bomb. I think that was the first kayfabe break in the ring that made me actually go, oh, what? Because, in wrestling up to that point, you didn't use your real names. Even with the fight was a fourth wall breaking, kayfabe breaking fight, you still used your in-ring names. That was the first time a wrestler, mid-ring, mid-show, on a mic, referred to himself out of character and referred to his opponent out of character. This is Phil talking to Paul. That was
They allowed it all. They encouraged it. But there are people out there who believe that all that was real, and the WWE powers that be were so stunned that they didn't know what to do. And Vince is in Gorilla. He could have said that, and it would have been done. But it was getting over with the crowd, and they let it go. And who knows how much of it they talked about before he went out and did it.
For the record.
But good for you. You listen, I get what you're saying, and I get that you associated with it, and it touched you with what you were going through at the time, which is what wrestling does. Storylines reach out and hit people where they are with things that they're going through. They can associate with it. They can empathize. All those things. And that's why it still thrives today amongst the people saying, well, that's not real. How could you like that? That's why it thrives.
Sure.
And will continue to thrive after you and I are gone.
Because it tells stories that we experience in our life in a theatrical way, of course, right? And again, we also kind of get the fun of dirt sheeting it, right? Like Lonzo and I can come up with all these theories about why these companies are doing different things. For instance, why do I think the Man returned on Saturday night at SummerSlam? Why do I think the Beast returned on Saturday night at SummerSlam? Why did Becky Lynch and Brock Lesnar both show back up? Why did these guys make their appearance? I got a theory. My theory is because when CM Punk arrived on AEW Friday night, he was the number one trending topic on Twitter for like a while. I think they heard the response. I think they saw the response. I think they saw people like me saying the landscape of professional wrestling just shifted. And they know that Daniel Bryan's only a couple weeks behind it. DB is showing up in AEW very soon as well. So two of the most, you don't have to like them, but CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, I would argue, are the two most organically over wrestlers. I think the top three most organically over wrestlers of the past 10 years, like them or not, Lonzo, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Becky Lynch. Those are the three most organically over wrestlers of the past. And two of them are showing up on AEW. I think WWE looked and went, oh crap, This is a power shift that we are seeing. We need to fire every bullet in the gun that we have. Bring back Becky, bring back Brock, bring back Cena, bring back Oldberg, bring them all back because we're running out of bullets and AEW's winning.
I disagree with just about everything you just said. First of all, Becky Lynch has been backstage for a lot of these events lately. It was just a matter of time before she came back.
Yeah, and I think
of course, like this. As far as Goldberg, he had some more fights on his contract, so he was going to be coming back eventually, and you absolutely hate the fact of that, which is fine. I think the biggest surprise was Lesnar. Becky coming back, still not happy with what happened there, but Becky coming back, not a surprise because there have been photos, there have been pictures, there have been people chanting about her coming back. This has been set up for her to come back for a while. I still think Brock Lesnar was the bigger shock. And
I agree.
As far as pop go, Cena gets just as big a pop as CM Punk does everywhere else. You bring That's my point. If
they would have done
it's about
and packed it out with 55,000, it would have been louder than anything at SummerSlam, including Brock and Becky. And I'm a Becky stan.
I will say bigger than CM Punk's. CM Punk chanting and thing. It's a marketing thing. They probably told him go out there and just sit there for a while. We're going to build this up.
That everything in WWE is a great decision, and with CM Punk, what a marketing ploy.
I don't know where this is coming from. This direction that you're going with. You and I had a discussion in the office about what Becky Lynch and what WWE did to Bianca Belair, which is
garbage. I agree.
It's a bunch of crap and it's ridiculous.
Unless they're going to turn it into a compelling story, which okay.
Both that are not so great sometimes, both of them do some really good things. It's not, and here's the thing, people from your
No, I did not. How do you think the host for the show for men is going to react to his man crush doing a segment on SummerSlam today?
No, he won't acknowledge it.
You don't think so?
No.
Colin Cowherd doing a full segment on SummerSlam. The host of the show for men is going to be crushed by this.
By the way, SummerSlam better than WrestleMania this year. And
Agreed.
And it's not just about the crowd. The matches were a lot better and stuff like this. So anyway, people of your generation
talking about my generation.
It's almost cultic how much you want to be anti-WWE. And I don't get why you can't like both. I like AEW. All I've said is they're not on par with WWE yet as far as what they're We're going to get some better wrestling. We are going to be better entertained by AEW if they continue on their upward trajectory when they go head to head. We've seen others try and fail. Hopefully they won't, because wrestling's good. You just talked about one of the best wrestling weekends.
Oh, absolutely.
By the way, WWE was in there. AEW was good. WWE was great. NXT, and you're not done with that yet. Excellent. The best match of the entire weekend happened on NXT, and you haven't watched it yet.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say. So far, I've loved the opening. And I'm 2 matches deep into TakeOver. And here's the thing: TakeOver's never in doubt for me. NXT is the one thing that's never in doubt until the last couple of weeks, when you can clearly see the McMahon effect starting to get its hold on NXT. Which disappoints me.
Dragunov versus Walter,
Right.
one of the best matches I've seen in a while.
Let's call it what it is. NXT UK is a Triple H project that Vince has not touched yet. NXT UK is good, and they're putting out great wrestlers that are coming over and making their moves. That's Triple H project. But all the stuff, like SummerSlam was good, but to me, it just felt like they were shooting all the guns they got because of how big the texter says. Lonzo sounds like he's in complete denial that Punk had one of the biggest pops in recent history. He absolutely did.
He had one of the
This is the one that I disagree with most.
And that's the
don't agree on that, but we'll have to circle back around. A couple other things I wanted to get to. Edge coming out to the Brood intro was the coolest thing I've seen all weekend. Like, the man coming out was great. Brock coming out was great. Punk coming out was great. We had some incredible moments this weekend, but Edge coming up out of the floor, Brood style, dude, I marked.
not to mention
hard.
that to be the best in the whole thing, and arguably it might have been.
I think it was. Of SummerSlam, Edge Rollins was the match I wanted it to be. I didn't know who was going to win that. I think I picked Edge only because I didn't. It didn't feel like a send-off match for Edge, right? He'll go out on his back, but it didn't feel like that was the one. Anyway, Texter says, I was at an event where Stone Cold returned to save Team WWE from the invasion. I understand the effect of a Stone Cold pop. Punk would have gotten that pop anywhere. And I think that's correct.
But you know what?
On Fridays and on 4 pay-per-views a year, I'll be there.
We'll see.
All right, let's do this when we take a break. When we come back, Jags Saints tonight. TL16 and Travis Etienne take on Jameis Winston, I guess, question mark. Give you my thoughts on what we'll see out of the Jags and the Saints tonight. Then we'll get Twitter trending topics and call it a day on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
Gabe Stevenson tells Ariel Helwani that UFC President Dana White has his number. If he wants to talk, I don't run the people.
Who said that?
Gabe Stevenson.
I don't run to people.
He's going to wrestling. He's not. I mean, he may end up doing both, but
Oh yeah,
that's a wrestling.
100%
right
it is.
there.
100% it is. Epic.
What do you think about Xavier Woods as?
What a stupid segment. Stupid
You
segment.
didn't like it?
Stupid segment. Yes, that's a stupid segment. Listen, I'm all for getting the Miz in a ring with a microphone any point in time, but that was just pay. Dude, was that not cringy? That was cringy. I thought Xavier as Razor Ramon, super cool.
I wasn't
Super
talking.
cool.
I wasn't talking about. I was just specifically talking about him doing that.
Yeah,
I thought
super cool.
I thought he
But
pulled that
you
off really well.
wasted what a cool moment that would have been on him spraying the Miz with a super soaker. That you took a whole segment of that, a whole segment for that. That's one of those things, and I could be wrong, and I'm doing this just because I like to run on the guy. That's one of those segments that happened because Vince thought it was funny, and so I'm going to push it through.
I secretly think Tony Khan owns WWE. You're gonna find out. All those WWE wrestlers that have come over, they didn't really. The contracts didn't end. They just went to another program. Tony Khan owns it all. You're gonna
Then
be
he's doing a great
shocked.
job driving me
You're,
to
gonna,
his new
you're gonna
venture.
be awed. You're going to bow at the feet of Lonzo when you find out that I was right. It's not a conspiracy. It's true. It's true. I am, by the way, getting the last little bit of my energy out, and this I'm having to push
gonna
it
go
to
take a
get
nap
through
under
it.
the desk when we're
Oh,
done
I'm
here?
not. I'm probably not out of the office for a while because I'm probably asleep under it somewhere. No, that would be bad for my ailing back.
I don't know. I gotta tell you, like, every now and then when my back hurts, I'll sleep on the floor and it helps. Every now and then, it just straightens it out. I don't know.
If it wasn't so hot, I'd go home and get in the hot tub. But I won't do that at night when I'm at home alone because I might get cornered by possums and have to figure out how to get out on my own. The possums like to come up on the deck and, explore the grease trap on the grill.
Right?
They don't like being interrupted.
No. I assume that they would not.
It's unfortunate when you're in the hot tub and they decide to do that and you look over and there they are. And it's like, okay, what do I do? Someone would say you pull out the shotgun, blow that thing away, and you got a midnight snack. But no. Go Prisma in the next break. I am going to watch that preseason game tonight on the 70-inch, though. Really looking forward to that.
Love it. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate. Rob Lonzo, you Jags Saints tonight preseason game. A couple of things I expect to see from both teams. As far as the Jags go, I think what you need to be looking for this evening is the Jags trying to smooth out communication, right? That's a first-year coach, first-year coaching, a team with a first-year quarterback and first-year running back, and some first-year offensive linemen. This is a team that is trying to find not just its identity, but trying to find its communication. This is a team that's trying to find itself, if I may be cliche for just a moment. So I expect the Jags, and we you brought up something earlier in the show, Lonzo, that we were talking about being vanilla in preseason, right? Being vanilla, not showing everything. I think, honestly, Zoe, we might see a little bit more out of the Jags tonight than we see out of most NFL teams in preseason weeks 1 and 2, predominantly because the Jags are getting to a point, or trying to get to a point, where they are capable of communicating at an NFL level in an NFL game. And if you just keep running the same 7 vanilla offensive plays to get your timing down, then you are going to get to a point where you fall into a routine. And that's not great. That's not ideal. The Jags, I think, are going to run a little bit more than just vanilla offense at the Saints tonight. Because I think it's more, who cares if you show your hand a little bit, right? Because if you are trying not to show your hand, Lonzo, but every time that you try to call a play in, it falls apart, it doesn't matter if the team that you line up against in week 1 knows your offensive book. If you yourself can't even get the plays onto the field to be successful, so trot them out there and find your rhythm. I expect to actually see something out of the Jags that test Trevor Lawrence tonight.
Yeah, this now crucial game for your starters. This second game. The other thing about it, you're right. I mean, how are you going to know what you got till you actually do stuff that you've been practicing, but do it against a real team? And it doesn't matter if it's their first stringer, second, or third. But more than likely, when Trevor's out there, he's going to be going up against the first stringers for New Orleans. You got to see how that stuff works. And who cares if you give away some plays now as opposed to 2 weeks from now? I mean, you're going to be showing it all in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Do it now and see if it works. Then you got 2 weeks to tweak it.
Yeah.
Do it now.
Put it in. Put it in. Put the offense in. Execute the offense. Make Trevor Lawrence go quarterback this team to show him what an NFL game is and to make sure your communication's done. Lonzo said it exactly right. In 2 weeks, you're going to be showing what you got anyway. Problem is, if you're trying to show what you got and you can't even get the play call into the quarterback, get the quarterback under center, get the team lined up properly, and execute the plays, then it doesn't. You could send the whole damn playbook to the bad guys. But if you can't get the play called, communicated, signaled, audible, and executed, doesn't matter. On the flip side, as far as the Saints go, I mean, look, we all know what we're looking for out of New Orleans, right? We all know what we're looking for. We are all looking forward to seeing who the starting quarterback is, all right? We are all looking forward to see what the starting quarterback is going to look like. Jameis Winston getting the start this evening. Jameis Winston getting the run. It's his job to win or lose tonight. If he does not outperform Taysom Hill, then Taysom will be the number 1 next week, and it'll be his job to lose. I would love to be at a point, if you were the New Orleans Saints, you would love to be at a point where you can get out there and have your 1, have your 2, and be working on the gimmicks. But you don't. And that's a point you got to fix. That's a problem you got to fix. I would also look for Ian Book tonight. Look for Ian Book tonight. Look for the guy that is the third stringer to get it worked out. Look for the guy to try to make his mark. Because here's the thing. Taysom Hill's going to be a gadget guy. Taysom Hill is going to be a gadget guy. Taysom Hill cannot be the number 2. Because if he's your number 2 quarterback, you can't risk him as a gadget guy, right? And you lose a big chunk of the offense. So Ian Book needs to step up and claim the number 2 so that Sean Payton can go to Taysom and go, we're going to give you QB snaps, but we need you to be Taysom Hill. So you're the number 3. Texter says, ESPN, Rob, do you think Trevor is the week 1 starter? Without a doubt. That's from Justin. No, I don't. Without a doubt. Here's why, Justin. Said this back in the first hour of the show. I think it comes down to what the offensive line of the what the offensive line of the Jaguars does tonight and what the defensive line of linebackers of the New Orleans Saints do to Trevor Lawrence tonight. If Trevor gets it absolutely handed to him tonight, I think Gardner Minshew's your starter in week 3 of the preseason, and I think he's your starter in week 1. You're not going to throw your new QB1, your franchise QB1 out there to get eaten alive by a bad offensive line, by a good defensive line. You are not going to throw your guy out there to get absolutely ripped up. So if he does get torn up tonight, if he gets sacked 4, 5, 6 times in 3 or 4 drives, I think Gardner Minshew takes that spot and rolls out there as QB1 next week and week 1 until they add the pieces to protect him, Lonzo. That's just a theory, though.
I think Taysom Hill is going to be your starter.
Do you really?
I do.
You think he beats out Jameis?
I do think he does.
Really?
I think why would they? So they gave him the contract and everything to get him to stick around just so he could continue to do what he was doing when he was getting looks by some people, supposedly, at being a starter somewhere else. I think he has some assurances. I know that's probably not what you want to hear, and we'll find out. And hopefully for your sake, you're right.
I would tell you I have been relatively confident, and I remain confident it's Jameis Winston. I think Taysom is, if only because, that's not even saying Jameis is a better quarterback. If only because, Lonzo, Taysom is too important as a Swiss Army knife, right? Think about the Saints offense the last few years. How many wins were wins because Taysom went out there and ran an end around from the QB spot that Drew Brees couldn't do, that gained a 3rd and 11. How many times did Taysom check in as a QB, then split out to the tailback when Drew would move back, or vice versa? He's too valuable as a gadget player to give up, even to have him as the number 2 QB. It's got to be Jameis so you can get I would rather have a mediocre Jameis at QB and give me Taysom as an all-over-the-field guy that you can line up on 80% of the plays in a different position everywhere. That's just me. All right, 844-477-3776, 844-GSP-ESPN. Text us on the Ingles Market text line at 71307. Appreciate that text. Justin, Twitter trending topics to wrap it up when we come back on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
Prisma.
Prisma Health is the official healthcare provider for both the Gamecocks and the Tigers, and Prisma Health wants to be the official healthcare provider for you and your family.
Right now, 93.
The wait is almost over. Hey, Furman fans, Dan Scott here, inviting you to join me and the entire broadcast crew for the Paladin season opener, Saturday, September 4th versus North Carolina A&T, right here on ESPN Upstate. We start with the Pepsi countdown to kick off at 12:30 p.m., and the 2021 season officially gets underway at 2 o'clock. Game action, scores, highlights, interviews, you'll get it all. That's Saturday, September 4th, Furman and North Carolina A&T, and it's all here, exclusively on the flagship station for Furman Sports, ESPN Upstate.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who miss the fairway all day and still pull out the big stick. The type of guys who will always prefer to be behind the grill than in front of the camera. And the men who never let their friends forget about a high school nickname. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Who wants to settle for a single TV? With more TVs, bigger screens, plus our fabulous scenic views, there's more to watch at Twin Peaks.
The greatest of all time, the GOAT. Most of the time this comes up when speaking about sports, but let's talk about your future wife. She is the GOAT in your eyes, and when it's time to make her your wife and Skatel her you truly love her, Skatels will be there to guide you through your ring buying journey. Free customization, financing, and a lifetime warranty are all part of the Skatels experience, one you truly will appreciate. Start your engagement ring journey at skatelsjewelry.com.
Hey, it's Rise Guys, Matt Man at 97 about the best beer on the planet. Rise Guys P1 Pilsner. It's clean, refreshing taste with designed just for you. Be sure to ask for it by name wherever beer is sold. Visit RiseGuysP1Pilsner.com for details.
When you're ready to buy something, the first thing you do is go online. Buying home is different. You've got loan applications, pre-approvals, competitive offers, the list goes on. That's where a realtor comes in. Realtors have expertise and local knowledge to give you a competitive edge that a search bar just can't. In today's market, an edge is what you need. So when you're ready to buy a home, the first thing to do is make sure you have a realtor who's a realtor. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
You and your phone have been through a lot this past year. It's been your lifeline to the world. And now some big wireless company is telling you got to buy a new phone from them and sign their contract? They don't control you. With TracFone Wireless, you can keep the phone, number, and network you already have. Already got a 5G phone? Keep that too. Because TracFone runs on America's best networks now with 5G nationwide. Plus, we've got unlimited tech smartphone plans starting at just $20. TracFone Wireless. Now you're in control. 5G nationwide access requires a 5G capable device. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Spicy chicken nugs. We didn't say Wendy's, but you probably thought Wendy's, and you thought right. With a unique blend of spices, these are the spicy nugs that other spicy nugs wish they were. And with Wendy's new ghost pepper ranch sauce, you'll reach new levels of spicy. So you're probably thinking, where's the closest Wendy's? Get the only 6-piece spicy nuggets worthy of their name for free with purchasing the Wendy's app.
Limited time only. Participating U.S. Wendy's offer must be redeemed at the Wendy's app. Download and account registration required. No valid with other offer. See offer and app for additional terms.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get in on the action. Well, no more, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G.
The only banner Chicago sung in a while.
All on America's best network. 5G coverage, 5G phone, less money. Straight Talk Wireless, no contact, no compromise. 5G capable device required, actual availability, coverage, and speed.
This report is sponsored by Macy's. This weekend, Macy's get great deals on summer essentials like new shoes and sandals, bed and bath basics, and back to school gear. Plus, Star Rewards members earn on every purchase, except gift card services and fees. More at Macy's.com/Star Rewards.
Now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter Trending Topics.
All right, time for Twitter trending topics. What's up, Rob?
Spider-Man. Is it the pictures that are going around?
That's a separate thing. No. So here's why it's trending. The trailer leaked.
Trailer leaked.
It's been removed.
Oh no!
It's been leaked. Someone caught it on their cell phone somehow. There was someone was sending it to someone within Marvel Disney, and someone somehow got a hold of it and leaked it online. And Marvel has went through and stopped it to where apparently when you try to click on it, you get one of those. Video is no longer available.
Aha.
And then the other thing that's trending is the pictures.
So there's a picture going around that's supposed to be of Andrew Garfield and
Tobey
Maguire in the. Dude, that is a blurry picture from Spider-Man 2.
I haven't seen the picture, so.
Yeah, it looks more like a Maguire and a stuntman who kind of looks like Garfield, but like camera phones are better than that image. Everybody calm down. All right. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. Just chill. That's going to do it. Remember, coming up at 3:20 this afternoon, Kirk Herbstreit on Offsides with Mark, Ryan, and Diesel. Stay tuned for that. For Zoe, I'm Rob. Back here tomorrow. See you then. Later, brother.